Good morning. Live from Mortgage One Studios. Russ Clark back with you. Phone lines are open. I don't know where Chris Larson is. He'll be here probably. I was talking to Derek Egbert this morning with Mortgage One. Haven't had a lot of conversation with him. He's been busy. Of course, he's burning things at both ends. You know, running for office, running Mortgage One Studios, as well as all his other extra curricular, Capital State Yuma and some other stuff. So the phone lines are open, 928-941-0304. I talked to Edward yesterday. Edward, my fact checker, about AI and not really AI, but about data centers. Data centers are connected to AI. They need them. And data centers have been around for decades and decades. Of course, before they were data centers, I forget what he called them, but they were, basically just for the internet and all the switching stations and all that. Where now it's more storing the pictures. If you have a phone and you store it in the cloud, you've heard of the cloud. Well, that's what a data center is. It's the cloud too. It's all the stuff in the cloud. So when you have pictures in the cloud, it's in those buildings somewhere, and not in one location. I mean, it's duplicated in the system. So there's more than one that shares. So that if one has a failure or something, information is not lost. I don't know if you know that, but it is. And I worked a lot with the hospital when they were setting up cloud system, and then a lot of that was explained to me. I didn't work with them. I'm not the tech guy. I understood what was going on, but the hospital, which has gone all electronic, same thing. But they set up their own. They're not using the data centers. They are a data center basically for the hospital, and that's on 32nd Street. They ended up buying one of those retail spaces, and it becomes a data center for the hospital. IT. They've got a lot of people that work in IT at the hospital. It's just necessary. But anyway, he was disappointed yesterday. Now, Edwards is an investor, as you know, and a business guy, and had a deal going with a data center that was going into a small city in the state of Virginia, a city of about 6,000 people. And this data center was going to be over $1 billion in project. It was over $1 billion project. And of course, Edwards business and company is probably partnering with a few others when they do these things. But I think he was taking a lead on it. He was the one setting up the deals and doing all that. And he'd been working with it for a while, with the governor, with the mayors, with other people, which it doesn't surprise me. But he gets to know the town to make sure the town's accepting and all that kind of stuff, and also the local college, because he wanted to make sure that they had the community college there was capable of training people that could work in data centers, the technical end of it. And apparently, yeah, they were all set up in order to do that. And the local businesses and stuff were set up and wanting that kind of opportunities. This data center he was doing was going to permanently employ 1,100 people. So it was going to be a pretty good size. They already had the property mapped out on where it was going to be and all that. They had plenty of room. And as far as electricity, because I asked all those questions yesterday, because that seems to be the concern here in Yuma. The concern in Yuma is a data center will destroy us, basically. That it will raise our prices and the grid won't be able to handle it. Raise our prices for electricity. The grid won't be able to handle it, and they'll have to do a lot of additional grid work that will cost every user. Well, that's just not true. When you get a heavy user like that, and a data center is a heavy user, they have to supply their own energy. They buy that or make it or whatever. And if the grid needs to be upgraded, they pay for those upgrades, and you can ask any building contractor around here that does residential, that does, commercial, whatever it is. If there needs to be an upgrade to run new wires, new anything, they pay for it. Not us. They pay for it. They were going through it in, parts of Florida, I think, the other day, and one of the Florida leaders says, "Yeah, we've had to turn down, data centers because we didn't have the capacity in those areas, but they're putting it in, and the company's paying for it, the capacity, for the grid, to be able to handle that kind of energy. So they pay for it." And then I asked him about water. Is water a concern in Virginia? Because we've been hearing these horror stories that these data centers will use millions of gallons a day, to cool, and they use it for cooling. They use it for evaporative cooling, which I wouldn't think evaporative cooling would work very well in Yuma anyway. Uh, Now there's some in Phoenix that apparently use evaporating cooling. I'm curious to see how that works, but they do, and there's some that don't. There are a lot of systems that are what we call closed systems that work like a car. A car uses a lot of water to keep cool, but obviously it's not hooked to a hose because you got to drive it around. So they have a radiator and piping that runs through the engine block to cool it off. Same thing in the data centers, basically. We could do the same thing. So I asked Edward about that, and what he told me was that theirs is it was a closed system that they were going to put in. Of course, it's all canceled now, and uh, the but they weren't going to use water. He said there was this gel that they use that is non-hazardous. It's non-hazardous to people. And apparently he even asked if you could eat it. Apparently you could, but it would cause some gastric problems and a bowel movement very shortly thereafter. So there's probably nothing you want to put in your mouth. Um, you probably don't want to do that, unless that's what you need. Maybe maybe there'd be a reason. You say, "Well, give me some of that." But he said that gel would last 8 years because I asked him, "Well, how long before you have to change the gel out?" The gel would have to be changed after 8 years is the lifespan of that thing. And this thing it would employ 1,100 full-time people year round, past the construction. And here's why it was shut down. It was shut down because the governor, who has a equity manager in Virginia, was looking to see what kind of opportunities was going to be for economic disadvantage. No, because they can't say DEI, and they can't say you need to hire a certain amount of race, color. You can't. You have to hire a certain amount of alternative lifestyles. Lesbian or gays or something. That's not legal, but they can talk about economic disadvantaged groups, disadvantaged groups. And of course, it's a small town, 6,000 people, and they wanted a certain percentage of that apparently to be economic disadvantaged, which flat just didn't exist in that city. And also, the contractor that was going to get the job, and I guess what triggered the attention of the governor's office, the contractor was a contractor that was you know a white guy, and probably not economic disadvantage. I mean, he ran a successful business. Well, there was he had an open bid to build it, and what I understand, there were four contractors in the area. Three of them put in bids. There was a contractor in the area also that was a man of color, and he did not put in a bid. So Edward actually went and asked him, like, "Did you not see this?" And he said, "Oh yeah, I saw it, but I don't have the skill set. I don't even understand everything you want done on that bid." It was beyond what he normally would help with. And Edward appreciated it, and he said, "Well, look." I mean, he liked the honesty, liked the fact that he said, "Look, when I have other projects that include, just building, living quarters or office space and stuff like that, I'll give you a call. We'll get that done." He also worked with some local restaurant that was getting ready to close down and discussed with them about the opportunities available because there's such an influx of people. He liked the restaurant, he liked what he was doing, and they were still open. But he had to go there yesterday. And it was a bad day for him to go give the news to the restaurant that um, we're not going to be coming to town. The money's not going to be spent. We're not going to spend $1 billion in your area and employ 1,100 people. He had to go tell the mayor. The mayor asked him to reconsider. But it was up to the mayor's. I mean, the governor's office. The governor's office killed the project because there's no way that he could have been able um, to meet all the requirements of the state now in that town realistically. Uh, and I know it was suggested that, well, you just need to bring a bunch of people in from outside the city that would qualify, which would have been a nightmare. And then he had to go talk to the local college. And the local college was a community college that they had spoken with ahead of time to see if they could run classes to train new technical engineers that work in the data centers. And the answer was yes, we'd be happy to. Which I told him, I let him know, I said our local college would do the same. And they've done the same with the hospital, with the police force. And they're looking for opportunities to serve the community. And he assured me that not all colleges do that. Not all community colleges do that. And he's had that conversation with them where they just teach what they teach. Core values, and that's what you need. You train them for everything else. We're very fortunate to have AWC here. We are. I Ratika now is has its leader as well as Dr. Core before. Just awesome with ear to the ground and listening to what the community needs and what the community wants, which is awesome. So he had a bad day yesterday where he had to go give bad news to the college, bad news to the businesses, bad news to the mayor. And they said that they would relook at the project in 3 years if they had a more acceptable governor come into the state of Virginia. That's how much difference it makes. You think voting doesn't matter. You think that politics doesn't matter and you don't get involved. It makes that kind of difference to where a more than $1 billion project that's going to permanently employ 1,100 people in the state of Virginia was not important enough to Virginia to sidestep some of their ideological issues on equity, to make sure that they don't want rich white guys getting richer. Basically, that is not a quote from them. That is a deduction made, off the record from some of them that are dealing in these industries. Yeah, that's what they see. They see that. We don't want them. We don't want to get them rich in our state. I don't think these states understand, and I'm talking Illinois, California, now Virginia. Virginia has just gone just as woke as anybody, and they thought they were electing a centrist in the state of Virginia as a governor. I don't know if the people are disappointed or not. I don't think they understand all of this that goes on. I don't think they understand what goes on behind the scenes, and how hard a lot of cities, a lot of states, work to make sure we're business friendly, to continue our growth, to expand the tax base so that, we can keep affording the government projects that we have to pay for, like roads and infrastructure, power lines, all those kind of things, that they get done because big business comes in and picks up a ticket for a lot of that. Well, it's not going to happen there. I've asked him to, hey, take a look at Arizona, at Yuma, which I know he's very aware. He's come and visited me many times, and he likes Doug. He's taken Doug out to dinner in D.C. Our mayor. I recommended it to him one day. I said, hey, I've got our mayor there in D.C. You want to meet him? And he said, yeah, send him over. And they had dinner together and know each other. And he's looked at Yuma for future investment purposes. At times, he likes Yuma. He likes coming here. And someday he may do something. Of course, nothing's opened up yet. But he reminded me that you have a mayor that's not any better than the mayor of Virginia. Unfortunately, But that may change. That may change, and we've got opportunities to make it change coming up, and we need to stay engaged and we need to stay involved to make sure that we're planning for our future. And planning on for our future is getting business friendly, people of common sense that want to make us all better at what we do, versus ripping off the American taxpayer. And that's what we've got in there right now is not good. We got the same attitude as Virginia, California, and Illinois running the state of Arizona, unfortunately. And it needs to change. And he was curious, he says he wants to make sure that, it would be very favorable if Doug remained as mayor, which was good to hear. He's very familiar with Doug Nichols and what he's capable of doing and helping and supporting and his influence across the state. And Doug's in DC right now, working on projects. I have no idea what. I just know he's there. But we need to support our mayors and our governors that support us, support growth, support doing the right things. And I'm convinced data centers are the right things. The more I learn about them. Now, I know there's many people listening that are going to think I lost my mind. And this is something that Edward and I talked about is the image and the things that are going around on social media, the things that are going around out there that are trying to scare people. I asked Edward if where it comes from. I say, who is promoting and pushing this? And he didn't know for sure. He doesn't. But to him, it looked like a CCP, China Communist Party, because they would like to keep us slowed down, keep us under capacity so that they can surpass us in artificial intelligence and communications and all the other stuff. Uh, they may be feeding a lot of this stuff, and I like talking about them. I like talking about the negatives, whatever those negatives are. I want to talk about them, and if they're true, if the negatives are true, I'm going to be the first one to beat my chest and say, don't let that happen in my community. But if they're as positive as I think they are, the data centers, then we should have one. We should have a company. We should present ourselves well enough to make sure that a company comes in here. So I looked at an article this morning, and the title of the article is "The American Rebellion Against AI is Gaining Steam." And of course, data centers are seen as connection with AI. They're a lot more than that. I mean, they're the cloud. They're information gatherers. Oh, and I forgot to mention something else about the power of the one that Edward was involved in Virginia that is now scrapped. They were building their own power facility to manufacture power. They were going to build that. I didn't ask what type. I'm assuming it would have been natural gas or something, but I don't know. But they're going to build excess power and be able to sell that back at wholesale, much like our water district does in Welton. Water district has more power than they need. I think they buy it wholesale, though. I don't think they manufacture it. I'm not sure. But they have the cheapest rates in Welton where that happens. Well, they were going to do something similar to this town and sell back that excess power to be used, which is also off the table now. You're not going to have that. And I know that President Trump has addressed this nationwide. He did that quite a while ago, where he said that these power, these data centers that use, a power, and I guess there's a level of how much they have to supply their own power. They have to bring it. There's been data centers that have, I guess, 3 Mile Island was purchased. I don't know if it was Amazon. It might have been Amazon or Google or one of them, but I think it was Amazon that purchased 3 Mile Island now, which is a nuclear power plant that's been on ice since the 70s, I think. Early 80s, 70s, when that thing shut down, they had an accident. Nobody got hurt, but there was such a scare of nuclear at that time, they never reopened it. They left it sitting there. It's not dismantled, it's let in, and they're bringing it back online strictly for data centers. That's how much power they use for data centers. Um, and I mean, I think these data center people know that when they put these things in, they've got to supply their own power, which means they would work with APS, obviously, for transmission lines and whatever, probably. Well, this this American rebellion against artificial intelligence was disturbing uh, as far as some of the numbers and stuff. Eric Schmidt, he's the former Google chief executive. He said delivering he's delivered a commencement address at the University of Arizona. And he told the students that technological transformation wrought by artificial intelligence will be the larger, faster, and more consequential than what came before. And he was booed. Some graduate, like, and this article says, like some other graduation speakers, when you mention AI, you get boos. And I guess this image of AI replacing jobs, which is more than an image, it's a fact. It's going on out there. And I talked about it the other day. I think it was at Facebook that is laying off another 7,700 people. And they're putting their money into AI. They're investing more money in AI that can duplicate a lot of the simpler tasks and a lot of the things that other people are doing. And it's starting to get some people that are complaining about AI that are voicing concerns about AI. And of course, once they voice concerns about AI, I think that leaks into, well, and then the data centers that AI wants, additional storage information and computing information. But that's also evil. So, and then they start making these things up about if they put one in your state or in your city, here's what's going to happen, and they have no idea. They have no idea. They can look at some old stations that have been out for 20, 30 years, and that really before they had data centers, but they were switching stations and stuff, where they used a lot more water for cooling and those kind of things. It's not the case today. There's many of them that are going completely closed systems where water's not a problem. And I've heard some people say that, well, they're going to contaminate the water so much it can never be recycled or used again. And I'm like, well, in doing what? They're not manufacturers. They're using it as a cooling system. That's like saying I can't take the water out of a radiator in a car and ever use it again. It's going to be, well, that's ridiculous. It's not true. And it's got glycol in it, which is poisonous. You don't want to drink glycol. But they'd recycle that. You can buy recycled glycol and shops collect glycol. They collect radiators and, use radiator stuff and can have it picked up by recyclers. Well, a lot of people in the country are just looking at them and they say consumers resent energy price jumps. That's part of this article. Exasperated by the spread of data centers. Now, I don't know if that's true anywhere. I don't know where it is, if it is. I mean, has energy prices gone up? Yes. Has energy prices gone up in Yuma? Yeah, we don't have a data center. Yes, it has gone up, but it's not because of data centers. But I guess someone's hanging that on them. Workers fear widespread job losses. Absolutely a fact. There's some industries out there, and that AI is going to displace some people, just like the cotton gin displaced a lot of people that were picking seeds out of cotton, or the backhoe displaced people that were shoveling, creating ditches, digging ditches. You can do it with a backhoe now. The cars for transportation did away with the buggy whips. All true. All true. And there were people that hated cars for it, that didn't like the backhoes. All of that's true. I remember computers displaced a lot of people. I was with Genuine Parts Company, Napa, and all our stores, when I first entered, or most of them at that point, were manual. We didn't have computers. All inventory was done. Every piece on the shelf had a card and a card desk, and they wrote down what was on the shelf, on the card, and how many of them. And at the end of the year, you'd have to get them pull all those cards in together, and the ladies would sit down and add them all up, and you to get your inventory numbers and all. Today, we just push a button on a computer and say, "What's on the shelf?" And it tells us. It displaced a lot of people that sat down and did all that card work. Somehow, we always stay well employed. We find a way to do it, and shifting is painful. I agree, but if there's going to be job displacement. There is some of it, not in all industries, but in most. And look, with these people out there fighting for minimum wage increases all the time, and now I know a lot of the Democrats, and it's a Democrat issue. The federal minimum wage act, the federal minimum wage is $7.25, I believe, somewhere in that neighborhood, if not exactly. Arizona, it's like $15. Because every state says, well, we like our people more. Well, actually, ours came from a voter referendum, and it always sounds good. We want everyone to make a living wage. Well, now we got Mandani and others asking for $30 an hour. So what that's doing, people that own hamburger shops and all those kind of things are either going out of business or they're incorporating robots and AI. That's the only thing they can do. When it becomes that costly, it starts making robots look cheaper, looks better. It's a better idea. So there's going to be displacements. There's no question that's going to happen, but you're not going to stop it because the need is there. And the need's there because we keep pushing. We push kids out of the workforce, which used to be a great starting job. You get these high schoolers that never had a job before and they go work at McDonald's, which is a great place to start. But they pretty much have done away with that now. It's pretty much gone. You can't you can't do that anymore because you're not going to pay a kid that doesn't know anything $15 an hour to learn how to empty the trash. But it was a great place to really start off. Now it's becoming harder and harder. It becomes a lot harder. Well, also on this AI. Basically, got the energy, the widespread losses. Parents worry about AI undermining education and harming children. All of a sudden, we got more parents worried about the education of their children. Well, that's a good thing. That's good. Let's get them involved. But it's probably not the case on this. The case on this is they're just looking for reasons to hate AI. Well, it's hurting the kids. It's hurting the kids. How are you going to, where we are right now with the cell phones and all that. It's a distraction if you let it be, or it's a tool if you let it be. And these parents worried about AI are worried about because it's already on your phone. It's being used by the kids. It's being used by everybody. You can limit the use, and I know a lot of people that do that. You can limit the use, help keep it a tool and less of a something that's going to be hazardous because it distracts the child from learning. So and this says it's harming children's mental health. Well, I think parents harm children's mental health if they don't direct them into other areas, probably. That's it. Blame the tool, though. So now there's more protests coming nationwide. They're saying that it's swayed elections, over AI and over the support of data centers has swayed elections. And it goes through some examples here. In April, a 20-year-old Texas man allegedly threw a Molotov cocktail at an open AI chief executive home. Yeah, they go to where the guy lives, Sam Altman, threw a Molotov cocktail at his house. And then made threats at the company's San Francisco headquarters. A few days earlier, fired 13 shots at the front door of an Indianapolis councilman who had approved a data center. It's kind of surreal. It's kind of unbelievable. To be like the guy that says we should buy a backhoe, back when shovels were all popular, and just somebody go by and shoot holes in the door of the politician. Ron Gibson, a city councilman, said it's something I never thought would be imaginable. And he found a note outside saying no data centers under his doormat. And then he found similar notes about FU about data centers, I guess. And I think it's a misconception about data centers myself. Gregory Feinstein, who conducted a recent poll with researchers at Stanford University and the University of California, Berkeley, talks about the backlash. He says, I don't think I've ever seen something intensify this quickly. The poll showed that 30% of Democrats think America should accelerate AI innovation. That's it, 30%. 30% of the Democrats think that we should accelerate AI. Now, keep in mind that AI is also military component. Probably part of the stuff that helped us go into Iran without too many scratches on any of the military hardware, go into Venezuela and be able to pick somebody up. AI, according to reports, was integral in making that operation happen as a tool to all our great military folks. It gave us more information, gave us more details, and that everyone's everyone on the same page. I don't know how it all works, but I know it does. Now, about 50% of the Republicans think the same way, that we should. That means half the Republicans don't believe that we should accelerate AI innovations. 77% of the tech founders think we should innovate, accelerate it. So we don't even have 100% of the techie guys, you know. And all of this, you know, it's not a secret that so many people are getting nervous and upset about AI. It's causing political anxiety. So it affects voters in Festus, Missouri. They ousted 4 city council members a week after they approved a $6 billion data center. And I have no idea if that data center is good for that area or not. I don't know. I don't know that the people ousted them know. They just know it said data center, and so they did it. So I guess they don't put pictures on the cloud because that's where that goes. Dozens of communities and states from Maine to Arizona are trying to ban new data centers, and I've heard talk of it in the state of Arizona. Some 360,000 Americans are in Facebook groups opposed to the facilities, roughly quadruple the number from December. So organizations are fighting AI build out. Josh Hawley, the senator out of Missouri, said people just feel like they're under siege. And he's proposed a new requirement on data centers and AI companies, and it's been rising in importance quickly amongst the issues studied by the polling firm Blue Rose Research. They studied 39 different issues, and this one's rising quickly up the ladder of things that need attention. AI companies and builders of the data centers that serve them is getting some rejections, and it's been a concern in campaigns. It's creating an acute crisis. Well, and we saw the crisis in Virginia in a small way, where that one data center was canceled. That one town that was going to get a big injection of to the economy, that was probably going to save a restaurant, expand the community college, bring power, and not harm the environment, is canceled because of politics. That politics probably had more to do with equity and DEI than it had to do with all these other issues, but I don't know. But I'm assuming that's what it all was. So investors have staked tens of billions of dollars in capital to on the ability of OpenAI. And so they're going to go to the states, and they're going to go to the places where they're welcome and embraced, and that just means blue states go deeper into red ink, and red states have the opportunity to prosper as long as they embrace business. And I don't think it's a new issue. I don't know that every state was open arms to the steel manufacturing when it was big, and that's a dirty business, and it's tough. It's hard. It's dangerous. It's hot stuff. But it's a necessary business, and there's safeguards in place and stuff to take care of things now more than there ever was. But the states and the cities that did that just prospered like crazy. Same with the automobile industry up in Detroit and all that, and until Detroit killed it. Yeah, overtaxation and burdens and stuff, and they end up moving to right to work states and things. And I see the same thing happening. The same thing's happening here. When which states are going to embrace manufacturing, tech, and all that? It used to be California. California was the tech capital, and probably still are. They probably won't keep it because of their equity attitude, because of their attitude towards environmental and all that. They're chasing businesses out in general, and of course, this AI is a big business, and a big business, it gets punished in California, in Illinois, and in New York. So they're looking for opportunities. They're looking for states. They're looking for things to go. And Yuma, Arizona, through GEYDC and our local leadership, has looked at and been trying to entertain DEI builders to come to this town. There's property set aside for them ahead of time, looking for somebody that's getting rejected, somebody's getting pushed out, and that Yuma looks pretty good. And we got a community college that can work with them. We've got hospitals, and we're well set for these kind of things, and it's probably going to happen here. But we've got a lot in Yuma that are just outraged because they're buying into this, that it's going to be a big water user, and you don't know that. And I don't have a problem with saying, okay, let's open the door to a data center, but make sure that it's a recycled system and not a water using system to cool. Easily done. It doesn't mean you kick everyone out, but sit down and listen anyway. All over the country, community-level organizations have succeeded in blocking data center projects. Local opposition blocked or delayed at least 48 projects valued at $156 billion just last year. And that's according to data with CenterWatch. It's an organization that's tracking these trends. Well, 20 were canceled in the first quarter of this year because of lack of local backlash. Features from Climate Media Outlet. And data provided by Heat Map show. Well, I know of one that just happened that probably isn't on that list yet, so add one to that. Well, recently, I guess just Tuesday of this week, Nancy Mace, a Republican out of South Carolina, proposed a one-year moratorium on new data centers in South Carolina. That's a Republican, obviously, running for re-election. That sees the groundswell of concern that people are sucking up this propaganda, that it's not right for your community because it's going to do a list of these things, which probably is not true. Not true. Well, you got to look at each case. If somebody came to Yuma and proposed a data center that was going to use 1 million gallons of water a day, I'd be in front of the line to say, not for us, not for us. But there's a lot of builders out there that are recycling. And actually, it's better for them, I would think, in the long run. It's going to be a little more setup cost. Texas Agriculture Commissioner Sid Miller called for a ban on new hyperscale data centers development in the state. Concerns about the cost of farmers. And cost of farmers? I don't know what it cost a farmer to have a data center down the street. But Sid Miller, the commissioner, agricultural commissioner, called for it. And it's a strain on the power grid. Well, Sid, I don't know if you talk to your local power company, but they would not approve a project that's a strain on the power grid. And they would charge the data center to upgrade the power grid before they turn the lights on. And they called this in this article persuading the cave people, the cave people. I don't think that's necessary, but okay. And the poll numbers are continuing to drop because there's a string of high-profile layoff announcements, just like in Facebook. It's attributed steep job cuts to AI, and I know quite a few people that work in data guys, and all of them that I know think that their job as it's configured today will not exist forever. They understand it. They do. They know that it's going to displace them in the long run if they work hard enough. And when I mentioned Facebook the other day, it for job security at Facebook means that you are proficient in working with AI because AI is going to be a bigger part of these technology companies. And and these technology companies hired tons of people at high rates. In fact, we bring in a lot of people from overseas to go work in these tech jobs, and they. I imagine that's all going to start going away as far as that. Um, these tech jobs have got to. They're molding. They're changing. The Let me see. The Dan Patel, CEO of AI infrastructure consulting firm Semi Analysis, he predicted there would be a large-scale protest against OpenAI and Anthropic within a few months. That's just the name of one of the OpenAI businesses. People hate AI. AI is less popular than immigration and custom enforcement. That's his opinion, Dylan Patel, and he may be right. I have no idea. AI is less popular than politicians. Which knowing that it's gaining that momentum, whether it's good, bad, it doesn't matter. The politicians are paying attention, and they're gonna jump in and say that's my platform I'm running on now. I guess they want to drive the United States down from being the leader in AI, which would be very dangerous, I think. And I'm sure China's looking at these numbers and going, they think that's very positive, I would assume. A Detroit-based advertising creative director and mutualist, I'm sorry, I think her last name's Oki, says, "We do not want any data centers, especially in Michigan. Do not bring that here ever." Well, it's too late. There's already data centers in Michigan. But she said in an interview that he opposes data centers for their impact on the environment. I don't know what the impact is. I'm reading a story that says the data centers are warming the areas around them, which I think is ridiculous. But I'll give it a thorough glance and I'll look at that, see if there's any truth to any of that. And he worries about the effect artificial intelligence might have on opportunities as an artist, because he's an artist. And I don't think it's a mystery to anybody that now you can go to AI and create art, create a picture. I know people that have art on their wall that they created on AI because they wanted a certain scene in a certain way. You explain it to AI and it just develops it for you. So yes, artists are going to be against AI, and there's people that are going to be, have to change what they do, have to work with what they do in order to do that. These graphic artists that sit down and spend hours to come up with a good poster for a campaign, or a good poster for an advertisement or something like that. You can do it in a few seconds on AI. Just kind of amazing stuff. I've played with it now a little bit. And that's just recently. I took a picture off my phone of my wife, Helen, and said, "Take that picture. Take the lady from this picture and put it in a Western seat, Western outfit in a Western background." And I mean, in less than a minute, I had a picture of Helen with some cowboys all around her and and horses and stuff with her with Western outfit on, still holding a plastic water bottle. But it was kind of amazing and kind of quick, kind of fast. Now you could tell it was AI. It was not an artist. It was AI, but it's poster quality for sure. Memphis, Tennessee, 31-year-old Justin Pearson finding support by centering data center opposition in his Democrat campaign for Congress, and that's what he's running on. That's becoming one of his lead things. And I know there's people here in Yuma that are doing that politically, saying that I'm against data centers and expecting people to vote for him more heavily because I'm against data centers. And I think it's premature, and I think it's uh, I think it would be detrimental to Yuma to be against data centers. And well, he's helped lead the fight against Elon Musk XAI over a local data center. The NAACP recently sued XAI, which is an odd headline. And of course, that was just recently acquired by SpaceX. Musk is getting ready to sell SpaceX, and I'll talk about that. Not sell, go public, initial public on IPO, initial public offering, where you can buy stock in SpaceX, which has never been done because it's a private company. And now it also incorporates XAI in SpaceX. But NAAC claims that the company has illegally operated gas turbines without a valid air permit nearby South Haven. Illegally operated gas turbines. And I don't know what the gas turbines for, and I don't know if that's just them creating power for the AI, because they have to create their own power. And Miss Pearson said, and that's with the NAACP, in the Republican area, shared the same data center concerns as many of this Democratic constituents. We are building common ground in a powerful way. Big tech companies have promised to pay more for electricity than power data centers at the urging of President Donald Trump, which is true. Executives said they need to coordinate effort to highlight the benefits of the tax revenue centers provided and the ways AI improves daily life. That's from Trump, and he says they need some PR help. And I think that's true. They need some PR help because I think there's somebody is feeding a lot of negativity, and all the social media is about AI, and it's been coming at a huge level. Somebody's trying to stop it, and I don't think it's friends of our country. I think it's people that would like to do harm to us. Chris Lahane, he's a AI chief global affairs officer. He said doomers peddling worst case scenarios, lingering anger at social media companies, and negative media coverage have fueled poor sentiment in the U.S. If you're going to consistently and constantly talk about AI from a fear perspective, you're going to drive fear. We as an industry need to be a lot more calibrated in making a case as to why it is good for the country and good for the world. At a recent data center conference in Washington, D.C., one executive said the industry is facing cave people who oppose all development. Another said her daughter hears her friends complaining about data centers. Of course, if it's a daughter, a younger person, they've got a cell phone. They probably use the data centers every day. There's a disconnect between what we're saying and what is happening out there, and I think that's the issue we have to address. And that's Ernest, a CEO of the Company Development Data Center in Indianapolis. Um, I think they need to do better to get the information of reality out there on what the data center is and what it isn't. And you got farmers in the farm community saying it's creating pollution or something. It's causing problems for the farmers, and I certainly would like to see that data and see where that comes from. That's really causing that kind of issue. I would be shocked if it is, but I'm always listening. I'm always listening. I'm willing to hear it. I don't believe it, but prove it to me. Show it to me. But I don't see any of that. I just see a lot of rhetoric on the whole thing. Let me see. I've got something else here on AI. I thought maybe not. Okay, I got that one. This one story on the Arizona data centers warming neighborhood communities by several degrees. Gosh, I haven't had time to really pick it apart. Let me see. It says research is unpublished and not yet been peer reviewed. Well, I'll probably wait for that. Warming neighborhoods by a few degrees could exacerbate periods of extreme heat. and that's one study that that for each 1 degree Fahrenheit increase during a heat wave, the risk of death rose by 2.5%. But they're saying it's measurable that if you put a data center in the neighborhood, it's going to raise temperature. And is that I'm curious. I haven't seen any of the data, and obviously it's not even been reviewed yet, but it's already headlines. Which I guess that's what they got to do is you got to get the headline out there and get the image out there. That way, it's hard to fix it later because people won't believe the retractions. But they're looking at what can be done to fix it. I mean, if you're next to any kind of you know business, let's say a steel mill. Now, steel mill, they're working with temperatures that reach thousands of degrees. Does that mean that the homes a block away are hotter? A mile away, 2 miles away, or hotter? Somehow I'm not buying it. Now, I will grant you, in Phoenix has warmed because they have so much asphalt. I mean, I'm a lot of asphalt, parking lots, asphalt, buildings, all of that, which has replaced, bare ground, and it's caused it to be warmer when the sun's out and hot. All true. And it radiates. I don't think it raises the temperature of all of Arizona, but it definitely does in the local area. It does raise it in the local area. That's a fact. But how does one building, one data center, change the heat? I don't know. And I want to know if Al Gore's doing this. You know, if is this an Al Gore? Um, well, David Saylor, director of ASU School of Geographical Sciences and Urban Planning, said his team's measurements consistently detected a heat plume, from data centers that extended into nearby communities, regardless of wind direction. What we found pretty consistently was irregardless. That's irregardless is not a real word. It's regardless. Regardless of the wind direction, there was always a downwind warming that we could measure, and it was on the order of several degrees Fahrenheit. I'd like to see the real numbers and what you're talking about. Because I don't believe it. Do I believe it radiates heat? Yeah, I believe that's how military is able to find you in the woods because your body radiates heat, or a campfire or a building that has a heater in it radiates heat. I'm agreeing with you. But you're saying a data center is the one that's going to change the world or change the climate? The data centers, it's not the SUVs anymore? I just think they're hanging that around the neck because just to put some more fear factor out there. In one measurement run, the team divided the area around the data center into 3 zones based on distance. Zone 1, closest to the facility, measured 2.5 degrees Fahrenheit warmer than zone 2 on average, and it doesn't say how far is that is away, and it doesn't say when it says close how close. So I guarantee you, I used to run a chain of convenience stores for a while, like Circle K's type stores in Florida. They were called Little General. We painted a building a darker color. They used to be a light brown. They painted a dark brown. They liked it, for its color change. Well, you could stand 5 degrees away from that wall after the sun hit it and feel the heat. No question. Do I think it changed the neighborhood? No, I don't. Was the company smart enough to change it back to the other color? Yeah. Same as AWC when they did that building on Redondo Drive. They did it like a dark brown. And I remember when I saw it years ago, and I was on the radio on the other side of town there. I mentioned, like, what idiot painted that dark brown, because that air conditioner is never going to work. And I got a call like, how did you know the air conditioners weren't working? Which I didn't know. I just know my experience working with that convenience store. What happened when we painted our buildings a dark color, our air conditioner bills went way up, and the people couldn't. I mean, it didn't work well. And well, apparently that was going on at AWC. I didn't know that at the time, but I found out that they wanted me to stop talking about it. And they painted the building a lighter color, and the air conditioning system started working. Amazing. So yeah, can things make a difference in the neighborhood? Can it make if you're standing next to a building just based on the paint or based on the radiator? Have you ever sat next to, well, like look at our hospital that has a huge air conditioning systems and stuff. Well, stand by that building that has some of the exhaust fans and stuff in it that's cooling everything off. It's going to be warmer. I grant you that. But is it gonna warm the neighborhood? And I'm close to the hospital. Does it warm my house? No, no. So I think this is kind of ridiculous. Um, this says a 30 megawatt data center uses as much electricity as 25,000 to 30,000 homes, but occupies a space of roughly 20 homes. That concentration of energy produces heat emissions of 2,000 to 6,000 watts per square meter. I have no idea. Those numbers may be right. For comparison, peak summer solar radiation is about 1,000 watts. So it's just comparison to others. But most data centers expel heat through rooftop air conditioning systems that blow hot air directly into the atmosphere, just like a house does, or a factory, or a hospital, or a military base infrastructure. Yeah. I guarantee if you're standing next to an F-35 on the back of it when they fire it up, it's going to be warmer there. Does that change the temperature in Arizona? No, but it's going to burn your clothes off. Yeah. Um, so now they're scaring them that these data centers and only data centers are doing this. Well, so they want to shut them down. Shut down the malls, shut down all manufacturing. There isn't any manufacturer that's not using electricity and cooling themselves. It's ridiculous to me, but this is what people are saying right now. He says anybody with a cell phone, anybody with internet access, anybody with a Wi-Fi refrigerator are going to need data centers. That's all true. The chair House Committee on Artificial Intelligence and Innovation sees data centers through the lens of national security. If we prevent it, if we stifle it in the United States and in Arizona, Russia will lead, China will lead, and in an international space race for the 21st century. Suggested local regulations could help foster responsible development. True, and I think we need responsible development. We need data center here that would be a closed system as far as heating or cooling. Yeah, a closed system, not an open evaporation system that would use millions of gallons of water. In fact, I know there's data centers that you don't use any water, other than the bathrooms and stuff like a normal business. But the rooftop equipment design and municipal building codes could be used to reduce the neighborhood heat impact of data centers. Well, air conditioning, as we know, we took all the air conditioning out of Arizona, and we wouldn't have all that warm air being expelled from the air conditioners. There are things you could do at rooftop level in terms of design. I don't know if there's heat being pushed out. I don't know what you could do, but also in terms of HVAC, air conditioning equipment. Just the vertical velocity at which the fans are operating will affect how quickly that vertical plume is ejected out away from the surface and potentially mixes at higher levels and disperses without it going directly to neighborhoods. Well, good. Find some solutions if you think that's a problem. But yeah, you go next to any building, it's going to be warmer where the sun's hitting it. And it's going to be warmer by a few degrees. So I don't think that's a scary thing. SpaceX is getting ready to launch an IPO. And it says it's highly anticipated. Of course, SpaceX is 24 years old. And to be a private company as big as that, that's really weird. When it comes to profitability and it comes to how much business is doing all that, we don't get public information. Public companies that are traded publicly, have to release statements. and you get their P&Ls and you get their balance sheets, and you know where they're spending their money and a whole bit, so you can invest in them. And of course, that means we're going to know about SpaceX and how profitable they are. SpaceX plans to offer its shares on NASDAQ, and it uses symbol SPCX. Founded 2002, and we know it's become the largest in the world, actually, as far as a space company. And Chris Larson's here today.
Come on, you started early today.
Did I? I started at 6. My fault.
Yeah, it's all on you.
Yeah, it's all on me. I'll take it, buddy.
You're not the one that forgot to turn on the alarm.
Good to see you. Oh, is that how you function on alarms?
Oh yeah.
I set my
especially alarm. Like I don't normally have to be up this early,
and there's no reason.
Yeah,
unless you just like the dark. But do you use an alarm clock on your bedside, or you use your cell phone?
Bedside. Yeah, I don't put my cell phone in the bedroom.
Well, then you're gonna have to have a bedside.
Yeah.
I've
been using the same one for like 25 years.
It's still working.
Yeah,
and you have to wind it.
Those old clock alarms, radio alarms.
Yeah, I love it.
It gets you up.
I use exclusively my cell phone now, but that way I can set it permanently.
Yeah.
You know, it's for, and I can set it by day.
Right.
So I know I want to get up at 3 every
I did
morning.
that for other things, but I've been using the clock alarm for so long.
Keep using it. And you don't, well, you don't keep it in the bedroom anyway.
No.
The cell phone wouldn't work unless it's loud enough to wake you up from the other room.
I can hear it from the other room, but I haven't trained myself to respond to it. So
well, it's good to have you.
I had it all set. I went to bed at a reasonable time last
night. You did?
Everything was perfect.
What's wrong with you?
I just forgot to flip the switch to turn it on.
Yeah, that'll do it every time.
Yeah.
I'm talking about SpaceX right now.
Yeah, I heard that.
The IPO, I don't know how much you could invest in it. I imagine, like a lot of IPOs, and it's not every time, but a lot of IPOs hit the ground running.
Right.
And, they may start off with a $20 stock, and by the end of the day, it's $400 or something.
They've been trading.
They've never
already.
Traded. They've never traded.
And really? I would have thought they were public a long time ago.
They're private.
Interesting.
Since 2002.
Really?
Yeah.
And now it's just now going public?
And it's going to be, it could be as early as June 12th. They haven't cemented that in. They've got it penciled in June 12th, probably. And it says they plan to launch its roadshow on June 4th. I guess to go get investors excited about it. And they want to have a boom.
Because, nobody's excited about SpaceX.
Well, yeah, they are. But I mean, excited about buying the stock. Yeah. And with a share sale as soon as June 11th.
Huh. Well,
now,
that's interesting.
They integrated XAI into SpaceX.
Okay.
So Musk bought it. It's a private company right now. He says, well, I'm going to buy the XAI, which is also his.
Mm-hmm.
And he bought it and put it into Starlink. So it's folded in there, as well as Starlink and the rockets.
Right.
So you got that opportunity. Now, as far as Starlink, it's they say it's a key driver of the business, accounting for most of its $18.67 billion in revenue last year.
Starlink is part of SpaceX?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, that's all under that roof.
Well, because it's all Musk.
But but it's separate. Tesla's separate from Starlink, and the Boring Company separate. I understand.
And I figured Starlink would be separate from SpaceX.
No, apparently not. It could have been, but apparently not. And they're leaving it that way. So if you buy SpaceX, you're buying SpaceX, Starlink, and XAI all in the same.
Wow.
But it said that they had $18.67 billion in revenue last year, and Starlink had a big chunk of that. That was most of it.
I know people here in Yuma that use it and they love it.
Yeah, I know.
Especially the ones out in the counties.
It's really grown a lot.
Yeah.
And you see those rocket ships take off every once in a while.
Yeah.
California.
Yeah. Those are cool.
Well, it reported a loss of about $4.9 billion, though, last year.
Oh.
Yeah, so it's got to be a good investment. But because it doubled its capital expenditures. And to 20.7 billion in 2025. Wow. You spend 20.7 billion and your revenue is 18.67 billion. That's not good. In 24, they had a profit of 791 million.
Hmm.
But they're always on the growth. They're
Yeah.
always investing. They're buying and spending and buying. Where do they get that money? Yeah, he's got money.
Well, he
Well,
doesn't. It's not all on him.
No, he's got other investors and stuff. But the he's the richest man.
Right.
But that doesn't mean he's got cash.
Exactly. Yeah. People don't.
Yeah, he could have. Well, I'm the richest man because I own all these buildings.
Yeah.
That I make payments on every month.
and the companies that have the potential, they add in and
Well, they're booming, a lot of them. And Tesla has just gone nuts.
Yeah.
Although not in recent years, it's been not like it was. Oh, you got so many competitors and stuff.
Yeah, and that's the concern a lot of times with companies like Musk, all Musk companies. They're innovative. They come out with these new ideas and they're amazing and everybody loves them. But then other companies, when they're able to get on the bandwagon and start doing the same thing,
right,
they come up with innovations of their own. But the first company that started it all kind of stagnates. They're like, oh, this is what we got. It's amazing. We're going to keep doing this and we don't change it.
But Musk never stagnated.
Right.
He's odd and that he keeps changing it.
Yeah. But historically that happens a lot.
Historically a lot.
So then the big booming company ends up fading off. I watched a documentary about BlackBerry the other day. They controlled like 80% of the
right. I had a
cell
BlackBerry
market
at one time.
Yeah. But then they stopped doing new things.
Right.
They did one great big amazing new thing, and then Apple killed them.
They're still around though.
No,
BlackBerry's gone.
Gone completely.
Wow, like Texas Instrument.
Yeah. Another example. Yeah, Texas Instrument was huge. They got on it and started things.
But Musk has been amazing on year after year. He's tweaking these things all the time. Yeah. I've watched a YouTube channel on that engineer that keeps tearing apart cars, and he'll tear apart a Model 3. 2 years later, tear the same new car of a Model 3 apart, and it's totally different inside. It looks the same on the outside.
Right.
But he's tweaked it. It's getting better all the time.
Right.
That's the company I want. They're going to do a roadshow. Musk will retain 85.1% of the combined voting power of the company, according to SpaceX.
Okay.
Yeah, he doesn't want to lose that.
No. Yeah.
The company's filing with the Securities and Exchange Commission outlines a massive addressable market of $28.5 trillion across its business area. So they said that's our potential.
Those are huge numbers.
28.5 trillion.
Wow.
Well, last year they did 18.67 billion.
That's a huge increase, going from billions to trillions.
I imagine he knows what he's talking about. He seems to.
That's over 1,000-fold.
Most of us have a ceiling of numbers that we'll think about. He doesn't seem to have that. I mean, he's already hit way past numbers that most people would be comfortable with.
I'm more likely to think somebody put the wrong letter in front of the alien.
Let me see, including 22.7 trillion enterprise AI applications, 2.4 trillion AI infrastructure,
still
plus
using trillion there.
760 billion in consumer subscriptions, 600 billion in digital advertising. It also includes 1.6 trillion in connectivity through its Starlink products, plus 370 billion from space-enabled solutions.
They're switching back and forth, billion and trillion. So
yeah, they're doing it on purpose.
Huh. But that's over 1,000-fold from in such a short time.
Look when Tesla started. Tesla started, with a couple hundred cars.
Yeah.
So then he goes out and builds these mega plants that can build a couple hundred cars a day.
Right. Huh.
Yeah. He's just kind of that guy, I guess.
He's going to be he's going down in history. Just no doubt about it.
Now his filing with the SEC didn't set a stock price. I thought most of them did, though. They said, we're going to start with an initial $20 or something, whatever it is. But he didn't do it.
Initial price.
So we'll find out.
Yeah.
Let me see. Analysis for Webbush Securities led by Dan Ives, the managing director and global head of technology research, said that SpaceX filing represents the largest IPO in stock market history.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Usually
but-
they go, companies start needing cash flow. So you go public
Right.
so that you get all these
This
little
influx of cash.
investors jumping in there, throwing money at it. The negative is you become public.
Yeah. Well, he's holding
Yeah,
85%, so
yeah.
not very public. But
Well, all his stuff will become public. All his P&Ls, all his, he has to. It's going to be required, to send in documentation and all that
Right.
stuff constantly,
Right.
to let everybody know where you stand. They said that Tesla and SpaceX they expect them to proceed with a merger after the IPO is completed. Really,
which two are
Tesla
merging?
and SpaceX.
Huh.
Really?
That's interesting.
Knowing that Tesla invested $2 billion in XAI that was converted to SpaceX, which SpaceX owns AI now, XAI, which converted to SpaceX shares. Oh, that's how they bought it. They bought it with shares of SpaceX, private shares.
Okay.
And its acquisition, as well as the company's recent announcement to build a joint terafab chip making facility. And, they've already announced that that's going to be down in Texas,
Right.
that they want to build a chip making, which that takes, that could take a decade to get together. I mean, to make those foundries apparently is a real, but Musk will probably do it in a year.
Yeah, I doubt it'd take a decade, but
That's been normal.
it's so important to get chips made here in the States because everyone's dependent on China right now.
Well, Musk has always been a vertical, inventory guy. He wants to make all the component parts, have control over the component parts, even of the Teslas, which has been really great. The engineers that tear them apart and do reports on them say, this is great because it just fits together. It uses one screw for all these different applications, less connections, more uniformity, ease of, where other companies, and I know they took the Ford Mustang apart. They bought component parts from all these different companies, and they had to manufacture hookups for them on how they hook them together. And it was just a mess of wires, of cabling, and all kinds of stuff.
Well, that became the nature of the industry.
Right.
Right. Nobody specialized in anything. They just hobbled together a bunch of parts, which was great for the mechanic world because I'll just take the old part out, put the new part in. I can get them anywhere.
You still could do that, but you're going to get them from Tesla pretty much. I think. I don't know.
Yeah.
But something else it did. When, like you sit in a car seat and it's electric car seat, with all that, it has its own little brain in the car seat,
right?
Because they buy it made somewhere else, they ship it in, they just hook it up, to their computer to switch it. But the brain, the chips could be in the seat. Tesla has a central control, all in their computer
Controls
system.
Everything. Yeah.
And so they don't do as much of that going on, and then you got to get all these different things to communicate with each other. Tesla, it's just seamless.
Mm-hmm.
The one they control. It's all their stuff, which is kind of cool. I think it makes perfect sense. But but the investment in that, and I know the car companies were set up a little differently, and that they would manufacture them like crazy, and then they had franchisees that bought them, and then to be a franchisee, you had to agree to buy so many, you had to do so much, and that way they unloaded their inventory right away. Right. Tesla doesn't do that. They sell to the end user, so they, their cash flow is different, and the way they do them is different.
Everything about Tesla is different.
It's they're just in time. Well, the car companies at one time were trying to match the Tesla because you're taking out a whole leap in price markup,
right?
Because the dealers have got to survive.
Everyone has to make money along the way,
right? So they tried to match that and say, well, we'll just do it in fleet sales, do it something. But they had a rough time because the franchisees.
Right.
Well, wait a minute, you can't sell in my town.
You can't change midstream like that. Yeah.
It's tough. They've been doing it for 100 years, so all of a sudden it's different. So it's tough to compete with Tesla on that level, I would think,
Oh yeah.
because
Well, and I don't know if anyone's competing with Tesla, because if you want a Tesla, you're getting a Tesla. If you don't want a Tesla, you're not getting a
well,
Tesla.
but they
it's
lock
not
them out
really-
of a lot of places.
Yeah.
Tesla started putting out showrooms, but you couldn't buy them there. You had to get on the computer and buy them. But some states and everything, they were forcing them out. And of course, that's through lobbying from other companies saying,
Mhm.
look, I have to have retailer. I have to have people to protect the client, they say, to protect customer. They should have the same. So some states, they can't sell Teslas.
Hmm.
It's because they didn't set up a network of franchisees and stuff.
I don't know how that would be. They'd have to have some
Hey, buddy.
carefully worded law.
Yes, they can do
for
that. You need a license to cut hair in most everyone. You need a license.
Right.
You don't need a license to do tax returns because of lobbying.
Right.
And you're saying in the beauty people got together and said, these people cutting hair at home are killing us. We're going to have to set up a licensing.
Right.
And so that's done all the time.
Interesting.
That's done all the time. That's politics, man.
It is.
All right, I got some agricultural news.
Hey,
Edward sent it to me, so I thought I'd talk about it. All 18 top corn growing states report corn emergence. I guess that means they're starting to grow.
All right.
Which I guess farmers like to know this. But corn, as of May 17th, 76% of this year's corn crop has been planted in the top 18 corn producing states. That's like, Iowa, Kansas, Dakota,
Right.
Wisconsin, all those kind of guys. That's ahead of the 5-year average of 70%. 39% of the corn crop in all 18 states has emerged, which is ahead of 37%. So they're already popping out of the ground.
Yeah.
Soybeans, same thing. 67% of the crop is up. I didn't know that they put this kind of thing in. I guess this is good for investors and other things.
Within the industry.
What's happening with the industry.
Yeah. Within the industry, I'm sure there are people going, woo!
Yeah, man, it's good, it's bad. Should we? Yeah. And like we do, winter vegetables. We do the vegetables during the winter. And I know at times there's been natural disasters in other states where storms come in and destroy most of the lettuce crop in Texas or something, and then the price of lettuce goes up like crazy.
Yeah. Well, we just got
plant more.
Yeah, we just got some fresh corn from Lemon Grove yesterday, so that's not
our growing system is different.
We've got stuff growing here still.
And winter wheat condition for the week.
Excuse me.
Winter wheat, which I guess they're cleaning up. The crops that were good or excellent is 27%, fair is 30%, poor, very poor, 43%. So they're saying that's not good. They didn't do good. So last year at this time, 52% of the crop was good or excellent. Now it's 27.
Ooh, wow.
Yeah.
That took a hit.
So winter wheat didn't do well. Spring wheat starting off good. 73% of it's already been planted, ahead of the 5-year average of 66%. And 39% of the wheat crop has emerged as of May 17th, above the average of 34%. So it does it for oats and all that other stuff. So
interesting.
I guess that happens for people that are working on investing and
and might
moving
even
commodities.
be
I don't know.
People tracking the food availability.
Well, like Robert Kennedy.
Could be. I don't know.
He just wants to make sure it's healthy.
Yeah.
It's healthy.
Are we going to have enough food in the next few months?
Let's talk about fraud.
Well, okay.
You okay with fraud?
It's always there.
What's your feeling when I say fraud? What's your feeling about it right now? Fraud in the United States.
And like I said, it's always there. It's always around. Yeah. It just, it's never going to go away.
Right.
It just becomes so repetitive. It gets boring to talk about.
I don't think so.
Okay. Well, yeah, that's what I feel.
I think it's kind of, yeah, it's fine. Well, I think it's interesting. It's kind of disgusting to see how much is going on.
Yeah.
And the escalation. And there's groups of people that just work it as an industry.
Yeah.
It's not like we have 1 or 2% of shrinkage. which they call politely in retail
Right.
business
Yeah.
is theft, shrinkage. This thing is a scale beyond
Yeah.
reasonable.
Well, but we created, our
Monster.
the government created the atmosphere where it could happen because they didn't anticipate the fraud. They don't have people actively looking for it. They don't have, they had like you talk about with the that one person at Social Security called you about, one
Yeah,
department that enforces,
they don't
one
care.
department, yeah, and the nature of our bureaucracy almost encourages
But we're
fraud like that.
but we're citizens of this country watching it happen.
Right. So we should be making changes now.
We should be,
Yeah.
and we should be putting people in office that are going to make those
Yeah.
changes.
Well, Doge, I don't know, they seem to be a flash in the pan for a couple of months, and then they went away.
No, Doge is
That
still
should still be functioning
Doge
at
is continuing.
yeah, and it should be functioning at a high rate of speed
But
still.
but
It's all out there. We need
part
to
of
get.
part of Musk's frustration
Mhm.
was he thought everybody would be just jumping on it and everything.
You would think.
But the politicians are covering it.
Yeah.
A lot of them. More on the Democrat aisle than Republican, but the Republicans are not.
Yeah, nobody's immune to
No, well,
to it.
but there is a distinct separation
Mhm.
in scale of the fraud, at least what we've been seeing so far. They may dig in and find something more. This article talks a little bit about Medi-Cal. Now, Medi-Cal, of course, is the California's Medicaid spending.
Right.
And the way that works is the states are responsible for the administration of it and
Right.
and tracking it and ensuring that it's fraud free. They put the rules in and they do the enforcement. Well, that's what we know. We found out in Minnesota that nobody gave a crap.
Right.
They were doing lip
Yeah.
service to enforcement, saying, "Oh yeah, we're doing the requirement," and the federal government puts requirement on, like the learning centers.
Right.
They're supposed to inspect them twice a year. Just do a walkthrough, inspect them, and apparently they've been doing that for 7 years at the Learning Center, and they never had a child in there. Well, how in the hell can you sign off on that? How can you say you have a
Right.
real a real functioning bureaucracy that's checking if you've never been in the building?
Right.
Or in some cases, they were in the building and they wrote there were no kids,
And then nobody cared. Nobody
and
followed
nobody
yeah.
fought. No,
And I don't expect more from California, so yeah, you're getting ready to talk about the California, and I'm just not going
That's
to be
fine.
shocked
you're not going to be
because I'm
distraught.
not. Yeah,
I'm not looking for distraught. I'm looking for
I'm not. Yeah.
part of it. I'm happy they're finding it. Part
Yeah.
of me is happy I'm finding it. I mean, I'm like, holy crap! How could you let that get out of hand? Well, in 2019, Medi-Cal was $100.7 billion of Medi-Cal,
Okay.
which is like, wow, that's a lot more money we spend on our entire budget in Yuma. I mean, in Arizona,
Right.
for the state.
Well, Arizona, California is
It's
pretty
bigger.
darn big.
Yeah, but
And it's got a lot of.
that's just in Medi-Cal.
Right.
Okay. Now this year it's projected to be 222 billion, more than twice the size.
Huh.
That's quite an achievement.
That's huge.
Well, that's partially probably because Newsom made a lot of changes to Medi-Cal. Now, and these don't get headlines when they happen, but he's proud of the
Right.
changes. Let me see what in 2024, just 2 years ago, Medi-Cal expanded coverage for recipients seeking traditional healers and natural helpers
Okay.
with tribal communities. Services covered by taxpayer dollars include music therapy, spiritual interventions, such as ceremonies, rituals, herbal remedies. And that's from Gavin Newsom's office. Gavin Newsom put that out, like we're doing so many great things.
Right.
And to be recognized by the state as a traditional healer, though, you have to have served as a spiritual leader within the American Indian tribe for at least 2 years and be contracted by an Indian health care provider. Now, if you've already been doing it for 2 years, how's it been funded in the past? All of a sudden we have to have me pay for it? And that's like saying Pastor Tyrone, who does a lot of counseling and healing
Right.
himself, spiritually and even counseling wise, we should start paying him with federal dollars.
Well, that's a tough call to make, though, because
No.
like the herbal remedies. I'm a believer in herbal
Me
remedies.
too.
I think that's a good thing to do.
Me too.
So who makes the call. Well, I guess you say non-traditional because we've been doing the scientific medical for so long.
Sure.
All this stuff is traditional medicine.
Well,
the Native Americans have had their
sure.
healing.
I'm not against
traditions,
any
things
of
like
it.
that.
My
But
question
who makes
is,
the call? What's allowed to be paid for by
should we let Medi-Cal pay
what's
for
not?
it
Yeah.
all of a sudden? And all of a sudden, they started just booming business. Everybody wants to do it.
Well, it's been there.
Right.
So
But it wasn't
but
funded.
it wasn't paid for. So their numbers are going to go from 0 to whatever.
Right. Well, and that's part of it.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, we require as a natural helper, and they put in there natural helper. Now, if you consider yourself a spiritual leader in the American tribe, you have to be there 2 years.
Right.
If you're just a run-of-the-mill natural helper, you still get the money. It can apply to anyone considered trusted.
Excuse me.
I'm trusted. And well, that's by an American Indian
Right.
tribe. So an American Indian tribe could say, yeah, we trust him.
Yeah.
And so give him money. Newsom said this expansion of coverage for tribal medicine was made to assist in helping heal the historical wounds inflicted on tribes. So this is not about medicine. This is about reparations.
I don't like that line. Yeah, it should be about giving people the options.
It's a medical
to seek
coverage.
the help
And it's paid for by
that
all
they want.
taxpayers, not just California.
Right.
Like many of the issues that plague successful generations of Native people, those inequities, and he's talking about equity, can be traced back to historical atrocities the U.S. inflicted on tribes across the country.
Yeah, I don't like any of that.
So he's trying to do this equity programming,
right?
And just give cash to Indian tribes.
It's a workaround to get reparations.
I think so.
Yeah.
That's the way he frames it.
Yeah, I don't like that.
By supporting greater access to traditional medicine and healing, we are taking another step towards a healthier, brighter future. There's a lot of herbal type things. Vitamins, nutrients,
right?
And I read that stuff, and I pay for stuff like that. The stuff is not expensive. In fact, most of my nutrients and vitamins are cheaper than the copay to buy other medicines.
Right.
If I need other medicines, like I just went through on this heart thing where I had to buy blood thinners and stuff. Those are a month is like around $1,000.
Wow.
Now, with my health insurance, I get it for like $100 a month. But I'm off of it now, so I don't have to worry about it. But I don't spend $100 a month on all my other stuff combined.
Right.
So, but I guarantee you, if the government starts paying for it, those prices go up.
Yeah. And that's the problem. As soon as it happened with education, once they made the FAFSA, where prices of education suddenly went up. When they healthcare started becoming health insurance and stuff, health costs went up. As soon as they start assisting in the cost of things, then the cost just goes up. It's just the nature of the beast there.
Well, according to our acting Attorney General, Tom Blanche, the Trump administration suspended $1.4 billion in federal funding for California home health and hospice programs after J.D. Vance anti-fraud task force identified an estimated $600 million in suspected fraud with the state's Medicaid system, which is Medi-Cal. Right. And that's the state's. And that's not a surprise. Nick Shirley already pointed it all out for us, or some of it. He just went into LA for a day and I'm like, oh, look at this. and the state's blind to it. The state that's responsible, for oversight doesn't do it.
Yeah.
And they weren't doing it in Minnesota. So it's a target rich to find fraud. Well, if you don't have any oversight, fraud's going to grow.
Well, and like I was saying, the bureaucracy is set up to encourage it, because everyone bases their new budget on their spending before. So the more you spend, the more money you get. Yeah. So there's no incentive to look for the fraud.
And if a governor can get more money, if a governor can get more money out of the feds, let's do it.
Yeah,
doesn't cost us anything, but it does. But that's the feeling. Well, it's a grant, it's money from the feds.
Right.
Well, where do you think the feds get their money? From all of us.
Well, yeah,
So
but
every state wants to get their more than their share.
exactly.
Yeah, back. Otherwise, somebody else will get it. Well, according to John Kennedy, Senator John Kennedy from Louisiana, California's got 12% of the population in the last 10 years. They're responsible for half of the new so-called health providers to provide exorcisms and other things. Now, what the hell are we doing about it? Why has this gone on for so long? Exorcisms are covered.
Yeah.
Now, the Catholic Church is normally noted for the exorcisms.
Right. I'm sure there's others out there, but
probably.
Yeah.
It's usually it shows you that ever since the movies came out.
But I would think if you're an exorcist, you're doing it because there shouldn't be demons loose in the world.
Well, correct. Churches support their own,
right?
And the Catholic Church is like one of the richest in the world.
Oh yeah.
They got bucks, and so we're going to give a Medicare company, American Medicare, and I would imagine
but
that
if it's available, you'll take it.
Of course,
yeah.
And that's the problem.
Yeah,
and that's what Kennedy is saying. What the hell are we doing?
Well, I don't think the problem is all these different varieties of, like I said, I think there should be options for people getting their health care. That doesn't mean those are fraud. But because there's so many out there, it opens the door to new fraud.
Yeah. Well, and you
got to check them.
People doing exorcisms for a living say, great, now I get to get all that money.
Right. Well, and they probably got money before, $50, I'll do it. But now it's, $500, I'll do it.
Probably. I have no idea. I don't know how it works. I've never had an exorcism. Perhaps I need one.
Yeah. There's probably a few people I would chip in for that.
But I guarantee you, the church I go to has always done counseling. They don't go to the federal government for dollars.
No.
And I guarantee you, in these tribes where they have spiritual healers or whatever, they don't go to the federal government.
They didn't.
Well, now we're saying, well, we got to go federal government, and it's not because we don't have enough spiritual healers or people aren't getting access to a spiritual healer. It's because we need to help heal the tribes from the historical wounds.
And that's the part I disagree with.
Well, it's just tap into the great flood of money that's coming out of Washington.
Yeah.
And that's just nuts. And they've doubled their Medi-Cal spending since 2019, more than double.
And that can't be from just opening it up to all these other, because there's not a lot of people using these other methods.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't see the numbers, and nobody does, because Trump and with their fraud investigators and all that, they have asked for these states to send in the records,
and they're not.
They can't get them.
Right.
It's none of your business. Well, we're running the checks.
Right.
And those checks had strings attached, like on the daycares.
Right.
They had to be open certain hours. They had to be accessible. They had to have playground equipment. They had to have parking. They had to have kids.
Well, that's going over the top there. Right?
And there had to be oversight by the state that they would inspect them and verify that those things are in place.
Right.
And you know what early on when Nick Shirley finally addressed that, of course, the first thing they do is go out and attack Nick Shirley.
Right.
As a pervert, because he's trying to look in on kids or something, which is silly. But they start attacking him, and one of the leaders, I think it might have been Waltz or one of his people, the governor or one of the people from the city, or such. Well, of course they weren't there at noon when Shirley showed up. They're only open from 2 to 8.
I heard about that one.
Well, that would already make them outside the limits of the policy. They can't apply for funds if that's their case.
Right.
They didn't know that. See, these guys didn't even know the old program. And they were alibying the Leering Center,
right,
which was a lie.
But where's the reason not to? If nobody's gonna, if nobody's watching it, nobody cares, and you're getting free money.
Number one,
they're gonna do it.
It's illegal and immoral. Okay, and I agree with you that's not going to stop a lot of people. There's got to be something else.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we wouldn't have to have policemen. We just have policies.
Be going to jail.
We just have policies.
Yeah.
if there was a policy that 55 was a speed limit, but there was no penalty, well, I'd take the speedometer out of my car.
Well, the speed limit is 70 and there is a penalty, and I still go.
But you know the price.
This is not a confession, by the way.
Yeah,
but
but you see people pulled over all the time.
Yeah, and
I know people pay those they pay those fines. Let's take a phone call. You're on the air.
Hey, Russ, this is Jesse.
Good morning,
sir.
Good morning, Jesse. Doing well.
Hey, can I just share a story that it ties into traffic, but it ties in more to life?
Sure.
I witnessed something. So I'm going up 3rd Street over there by the River City, the grill. And that's a building, and the construction it's right on the edge of the sidewalk because there's not a lot of setbacks because it's an old way of building that we used to have.
Right.
So you don't see the cross traffic, but there's a crosswalk right there where the kids cross, and it says traffic must stop. Naturally, the pedestrians have the right of way every way. So I was about 2 or 3 cars back, and we're flowing about 25, 30 miles, probably a little bit steady. And I noticed traffic's not going to stop. It's not slowing down for nobody. So assuming nobody's on the crosswalk, because kids had just crossed, all of a sudden, the guy slams on the brake because this young lady, beautiful lady, but she had purple hair. I mean, dyed hard purple hair.
Wow.
She didn't look both ways before she crossed the street. She was just pacing fast crossing the street.
Wow.
And right there, it encapsulated in me what is happening in this generation. That school is practically worthless, I think, in this sense. This kid is so set on entitled that she's not even self-aware of the consequences it could bring to her body or to everybody. And I think it has to be put on the school, because I remember they used to beat it into us when I was a kid. When I went to O.C. Johnson, they said, look both ways before you cross the street. Pedestrians have the right of way, yes, but there could be a crazy man driving. Look both ways. There was always a consequence to your action. And I don't think this generation, their rights come before anything else. And it's a danger to society what they're doing to our children, because they put everybody in danger. They put the unborn in danger. They put the traffic. They put everybody in their quest for their own satisfaction.
Wow.
And I saw that, but I mean, just with almost an anger, a beeline, didn't look to the right, didn't look to the, no concern for nobody.
What was her,
that is a lack of love.
What was her reaction after the brakes were applied? She heard the squealing of the tires. What was that?
No. The brakes did. It was just a nice, nobody had to brake. Nobody had to brake.
Oh, okay.
It didn't come to that. It was just a sudden stop. You go from 25 to 0. So there's no brake. But
that girl
there was no reaction.
That girl felt entitled, like everybody's going to stop for me.
Yes.
Wow.
Like you better stop. And the other children that I noticed that were just down, they looked cordial.
Yeah.
Happy and communicating. She was all alone and just purple hair, angry.
Yeah.
Just walking straight. But
probably her mom at home had purple hair, so it probably comes down.
You know what scares me? Let me just throw another angle. If you study history all your life and you know the Khmer Rouge, the Red Guards, they always use the children to kill us, the older folks. And the Hitler Youth, all the totalitarian societies always use the children against their parents, against their elders.
Yeah.
And I think that's what they're setting us up for.
I don't disagree. That's too bad. All right. I appreciate it, Jesse. Thank you, sir.
All right. Bye-bye.
Yeah, I got a few comments about that.
Yeah.
First off, when a kid gets purple hair, I don't care. Because that, but it does show an attitude. Jesse's right about that.
Yeah.
It does show an attitude. Oh, but whether you're wearing bell bottoms or ugly clothes or purple hair, all that stuff when you mature and grow up washes off.
Right. Yeah.
It's when you tattoo your face, like I get a little concerned.
Yeah.
You can't wash that off.
No.
You can't wash it off. So
I'm okay with the purple.
All the facial piercings and the ears that are stretched 10 feet or something. Some of that stuff's permanent. But the purple hair, it can be a phase.
Right.
But it may be a sign of something else, independence or
they
whatever.
could just be, very
could be
expressive.
As far as
like
stepping out into traffic like that,
I've seen that.
I have too.
Yeah. And
Some,
they just walk straight out. I don't know if I'd put that on the schools. I think that's the parent responsibility.
I think it's something the school probably wouldn't talk about or touch, unfortunately, but they should.
No, I'm sure they do.
I don't know.
You know, look both ways.
I haven't
before
been
you
to school in
cross
a
the
long
street.
time. You may not believe
Yeah, me
that.
neither.
I'm so young.
But
Well, you teach, so.
Yeah. But we don't teach that at high school. No, that's the kind of stuff that gets covered in elementary school and things like that.
No, but there should be a respect of looking, you know, and whatever.
But I wouldn't. Put it on
But
the
some of
schools.
it,
That's a parent issue.
some of it may be. And I've never been to China, but I had friends that had to go there and set up some stores that I worked with, and they said it was really weird because if you came up to a street, you can't look left or right, because if you do, then you acknowledge there's a car, then you're responsible. If you just go straight ahead, the car's responsible. So, but the guys couldn't get used to it. They couldn't do it, you know, because we're not from China.
Right.
But they say these Chinese people walk and they look straight ahead and they just walk and just have faith that everyone's going to see them and stop.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I like I said, it wasn't me.
Because that's what I would tell my kids, you know, when they were growing up. You know, yes, the law says they have to stop and not kill you, but if they break the law, you're the one that's dead. So look both ways, protect yourself, stay out of the way. You know,
but you know, and I hear that
before you
secondhand,
cross.
whether that's true or not. But the guy believed it when he told it to me.
But that's what I, you know, but you know, getting back to this
this one
situation.
Well, this one could be cultural
As
also.
a parent, I taught that.
Yeah.
Oh, it's on the parents.
Well, I'll tell
It's
you
not
how
on
I
the
taught it
kid.
in a minute. But the
Did you hit them with the car?
yeah, in Somerton, when I had stores in Somerton, a couple things. The police would arrest you if you went 26 and a 25.
Okay.
And the other thing was the pedestrians would step in front of a car in a second. And I'm not saying dangerously or anything, but if a car would have to brake, it's on them.
Right.
And apparently in Mexico, that's accepted like that. So I had to warn all my vendors before they came to Somerton. Don't do 25, don't do over 25, period.
Right.
And those pedestrians will step in front of you.
Right.
So keep an eye on them. And they do. And they would come in and say, thanks for telling me, man. I had no idea. The lady just stepped right in front of me. Not when we were real close, but close enough to where they had to slow down to avoid an injury. Where in New York, you're just going to get run over.
So that could be, yeah.
You know, so some of that's culturally. Now, the way I teach my grandkids to look both ways. Kids want to be older. Like I don't, you know, like, you know, that whole hold my hand thing. They don't want to hold your hand,
right? Because
I'm 3 years old.
Right.
They don't want to hold your hand. Well, I always frame it differently. And I said, look, I'm grandpa. I'm a little slower. I'm not sure of myself. Hold my hand. Make sure grandpa doesn't get run over. Well, then I get a kid on each hand.
Right.
Like this way, grandpa, make sure you're okay. You know, they become Boy Scouts. That's how I get them to pay attention.
And, you know, and you know, there may be a day soon. It may have already happened.
True.
When you're telling the truth. You know?
I'm telling the truth right now, man. Let's take a phone call. Hell, Gilbert.
Hey, Russ.
Yeah, man.
The biggest problems I've seen, especially here in the foothills, is old people, middle-aged people, young people that shop at Fry's. They had this false security. Hey, that's a crosswalk. I have the right to walk in the crosswalk without looking either way.
Yeah,
it's scary.
See it all the time.
I could not do that, man. I ain't got the guts.
No,
but it's not that they have the guts of doing it. They don't pay attention.
There are some people that would run me over on purpose, even if I'm on the sidewalk.
yeah, I'll be one.
I'm like a scared rabbit on, you know, when I'm out and about. You know, I'm looking everywhere. I'm aware of everything. So,
well, I think if you do hit somebody in a crosswalk, they're gonna that guy with the car is gonna have an issue.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
And the thing is, a lot of them with the shopping carts. You see them with the shopping carts. They don't look left. They don't look right. They're just looking straight ahead. They're focused on probably looking for their car. Is what they're probably
that happens
doing.
too. Yeah.
Well, yeah, but they just walk across. You know, and you got to be on your toes.
We need to have our head on a swivel.
Yeah.
Particularly if you're on a motorcycle, because they don't see you.
No.
Yeah, and another thing, you were talking about these kids with the purple hair and all that.
Yeah.
We got a senator with purple hair.
She is horrible.
But she's not a teenager, like you were saying. Oh, that's
it's a phase.
She's about
No.
125 years old, I think. I don't know.
Exactly. No, to me, that's a sign of wokeness or a sign of something, and it's a political statement. I believe it's a political statement, just like the girls with pink hair that I saw the other day. Super
Rosa
pink hair.
DeLauro is her name. Yeah.
Yeah. But what I'm getting at is, it's not a phase; it's a statement. It's actually a political statement, in my eyes, my humble opinion.
She's
It's a political statement. I'm part of the woke system. I'm progressive.
Well,
I'm liberal.
Yeah.
and that might be her plan to appeal to her voters, but
Well, I'm talking about even the young teenagers.
Yeah.
They all become political some way or another, and the purple hair is part of the image of a progressive liberal.
Yeah.
As a teenager, as a 20-year-old, it is what it is.
Rosa DeLauro is out of Connecticut. And I saw her she was trying to grill somebody the other day, and they just sat right back and said, well, obviously you didn't even read it then, because this is what it says.
Yeah.
She was angry. She looked like a witch, man. She's screaming. You can't talk to me like that. So,
But Russ, this is not the first time someone's done that to her.
I know.
oh, I'm sure, yeah.
It's happened numerous times. And she needs to be gone. There's a thing that shows you they need term limits.
Well, that's not going to help, because the people in Connecticut are going to hire the same person again, only with a different name.
We need to educate the public better.
Yeah. We just need a younger one that does read. Anyway, I thought I'd just bring it up about these people at grocery stores. They just oblivious. And like I said, I'll give them credit for looking for their car, but that crosswalk is not a safeguard.
No.
Be careful. Hey, I just want to let you know, my brother, who lives in Yuma now, just bought a Harley Davidson yesterday.
Cool. A new one?
No, it was a used one. It was what it was, Fat Boy or something. But
cool.
He shouldn't have a motorcycle.
Why?
I don't think he looks. I don't think he looks both ways.
Hey, it only take one time, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
it only take one time. Just like me, my accident that I got many years ago is because a woman was 5 o'clock in the morning, right in front of St. Francis Church, and I seen her, and I'm probably about 30, 40 feet away from her. And she's doing this fast walk. I'm slowing down. Does she look both ways? Oh no! I had to slam my brakes on, and I skidded on gravel.
Oh man! Yeah. Well, you've been riding long enough. You could keep your balance, but that's going to throw a lot of people off.
No, the reason why I lost it is because she stopped.
Yeah.
She stopped, so I was headed right to her. So I had to release my brake.
Oh,
right.
Yeah.
And that kicked my rear tire to the side.
Wow.
And I didn't get hurt bad, but a year later it took 6.5 hours to fix my knee because I let it go.
That's too bad.
But, yeah, you got to look both ways. Anyway, I'll catch you on the rebound.
Thank you, buddy.
Later.
Take care, man. Bye bye. Mr. Gilbert, he's not supposed to wreck that motorcycle. And yeah, gravel will
it takes you out in a heartbeat.
It can.
Yeah.
Even on my little bicycle, I drive too fast. I used to drive every morning to the radio station.
Right.
At night, and I just whip around corners, do all that kind of stuff. Well, it was dark. I didn't see there was sand all over the road.
Right.
I didn't lose it, but I start my heart for a second while I was sliding around.
Yeah,
I didn't get hurt, but man, I could have.
I was coming out of Lowe's and didn't realize I was going into the oncoming traffic's left turn lane instead of I thought it was the start of a right turn lane for me. So I had to quickly swerve, which would have been fine, except it had that road gravel that's the same color as the road.
And you're on a motorcycle?
Yeah. and
That's
laid
not
it
good.
down. I wasn't even going fast.
I'm
but
trying to call
that's
Carl
where it
Kaiser
goes.
because I missed his call.
Hi, Russ.
Hey, good morning, sir. How are you?
I'm doing very good.
I saw that I missed your call, buddy.
Well, yeah, I think I was calling you to let you know that, well, right now I'm getting ready to go put up campaign signs.
Oh, okay.
And Michelle Pena needs all the help Yuma can give her.
Always.
Yeah, is that who you're going to put signs up for, Michelle Pena?
Yes, sir.
All right, that's good. I like her.
Let's get a
You
lot of
know,
those up.
We need to help her.
And so that to me is one of the most important things we can do.
Yeah.
And I guess my other 2 cents would be for today is we're going to be trying to get the trolley up on 24th and 4th for the 4th of July.
Mm.
And I think the Tea Party needs to really buckle down and say, you know, we did it good in this first 250 years. What is the United States going to do in the next 250?
Now, just so you know, Carl, Chris, he wants us to go do the radio show from the trolley
Oh, okay.
on the 4th of July. It's gonna be on a Saturday, which we could do. We could
Right.
we could broadcast it.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about doing it.
That would be
You know,
interesting.
you come by and say hello,
Yeah.
whatever. But I'm
Well, what we're having is we are having some magnetic stickers made up to go on the refrigerator.
okay.
And so these are it's for the 250th birthday of the United States. And what we're gonna ask the people to do is take that sticker home and put it on the refrigerator, and maybe the United States will stick around for another 250 years.
But the younger generation, and by younger generation, you know, the people in their 30s, they're all about stickers these days instead of magnets. So you should have some stickers and some.
They
magnets.
are? They don't like
Yeah.
the
They're
magnets?
crazy. It's all about stickers.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is.
I got too many magnets on my refrigerator now. I need to get them off.
Well, I do too.
Trade them out.
Well, how many? And you have too many buttons in the drawer.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm going to help out Michelle by letting you go. Go to work, man.
Yeah.
All right, my friend.
Thank you,
Bye.
sir. Bye
See you
bye.
later, bud.
Yeah. See, I helped Michelle today.
And she needs the help. She is in a tough district.
She's been in a
for
tough
a
district
Republican.
for twice.
Yeah, and she's excelled and she's won.
Yep,
and
and
we
she's
just
doing it
need to
again,
Keep
but
that
she's-
going.
We need to help her to make
She's
sure
fantastic. I love Michelle. She's
she does.
great.
She's been good for us.
Yeah.
For Yuma.
Yeah.
And she pays attention. She speaks her mind, and she knows who she is. I like
Well,
that.
and other people know who she is because she's so open and willing to discuss anything at any time. She'll go anywhere, show up at any event. She's just a fantastic representative.
Yeah.
We need
Yes.
more like her.
We do.
Yeah.
I'm helping a friend right now. You know, I had a guy I don't know call in yesterday. We were talking about yards, and I'll tell you here a second. But we're talking about yards because I got I live in a neighborhood
Right.
where there's pride of ownership in most all the houses, and
Uh-huh.
they take care, and that helps the community. And then there's some people that
They
just
don't.
don't care. And I'm talking about grass and weeds that are
Uh-huh.
18 inches tall, and abandoned cars in the front yard, trash they should have picked up a long time ago. I mean, all kinds of stuff. I mean, it's just like this is kind of out of control. But there's city ordinances against that.
Yeah.
You can be fined.
Yeah.
The city can come to you and say, look.
You need to clean
So
it up.
my question on the air the other day was as a neighbor, it's hurting my house as
Right.
far as property value and everything else.
Well, and there's could be insects and rodents. And,
Sure.
Yeah.
All that. So should I knock on the door and ask them to clean it up, or ask if I could help them clean it up or something like that and do the neighborhood
That
thing?
used to be the way that it would be done without
Or
question.
should I just go right to the city, and they have a whole
Right.
group of people there of enforcement of those kind of things, but they don't run around looking for it.
No.
You got to call
You
them.
gotta call them. Yeah.
or put it on the click it and fix it.
Right.
And they'll go out and take a look at it, make an assessment. And if there's violations, they'll just send them a notice that you got 30 days to clean it up, or we'll do it for you.
Right.
And then bill you.
Right.
I mean, I literally have guys that have vehicles that have been sitting there for years with weeds growing taller than the car in the front of the house. Kind of amazing. I wouldn't have believed it if I didn't see it. I should send you pictures. But I think if I knock on the door, they know it's there. They know they're in violation, and they may just shut the door on me.
They could.
Well, then I can go to the city, but then they know who I am.
and that's
then I'm not anonymous anymore.
Yeah, and
that has its own fear.
That used to be the thing. You went and talked to people directly.
Sure,
and but now people are concerned, because there's some crazies out there.
Talking to them directly is my preferred method.
Right.
I would like to do that, and I'd like to help them.
And you'd like to think that they know it's there, but they either can't deal with it.
Sure.
Maybe they got and they'd love the assistance, or maybe they're like, well, yeah, I just come in day after day after day, and it just got used to it. Thank you for bringing it to my attention. Whatever. Or they could be, I'll deal with that tomorrow, and then tomorrow, I forgot to do it. I'll deal with that, and that can happen. You can.
And someone may not know what to do. Like if I've got a
Yeah.
car that's inoperable junk, what do I do with it? I could help them with all that.
And a lot of people, you see this lady that would help hoarders and stuff. Where do I start? The problem has just gotten so big. Where do I even start?
But let's say
that could be good.
But let's say that I ask them and they shun me and tell me mind my own business.
Right.
It's my property. I'll do what the hell I want. And I turn them into the city. They're
And
going to know it's me.
Yep. And that's what
there
people
could
are
be.
afraid of.
They know where I live too.
Yeah. Odds are, you'd be fine. But it's those odds that you will not be that people are worried about. Yeah. Now, the like you said, the city has the program where they go and tell the people, hey, you need to get this cleaned up. They're nice about it. They're not mean about it. They're not throwing you in jail, immediately. So that is kind of a middle ground where you can be anonymous and have something dealt with, because nobody wants to escalate things to police level if they don't have to. But I think they handle it nicely.
I think so.
In a polite way.
As a county supervisor, I would send staff out all the time because I had people that lived in communities would call me and say, look, this is crazy. And I'd go out and look and say, yeah, it is. But as an elected official, they didn't want me to go knocking on doors.
No.
Because I don't have any authority.
Right.
Well, I do, but I don't have, I would interfere with what they do.
Right.
They don't. Then
you'd be
it's
overstepping bounds. Yeah.
Yeah, it would make their job more difficult. So I always.
Well, then it would also make make it difficult for you to represent people because you went to that house because somebody asked you, but you didn't go to this house because I asked you.
I really didn't worry about that too much. But I just wanted to protect the staff that was doing their jobs.
Exactly.
And they always got back to me and told me I was going and everything. And they got compliance. It generally wasn't like, oh, I'm so glad you came out here and told me to clean up my stuff. And some of it's outrageous. I mean, some of it is just over. I mean, granted, somebody can, and I generally, I don't embrace homeowners associations.
Right.
Because some of them get the Karens in there that just are looking for problems.
Right.
Like this is an inch over. You better fix, something stupid. But just a reasonable, have some sense of caring about your community.
Well, but if everyone had that, you wouldn't need a homeowners association.
Well, I've looked around a lot of human developments that don't have homeowner association, and they don't look that. I mean, I don't see this. I mean, I'm in an older section. The houses were built in the 70s, and some of them are just don't care. And I don't. It doesn't mean it. I mean, it doesn't mean that they need to be painted or something. I mean, some of them do, but I don't care about that. Just have it clean.
Right.
The garbage should be in the trash can, not in the front yard.
Yeah, and I
it's
live
a small thing.
I live in acreage.
Yeah,
and
total difference.
Yeah, completely different.
But there's rules. There's rules out there.
Yeah,
there's some. The city, the county doesn't have as much.
Yeah, but the people are less concerned with what's happening on your property because your property is way over there. You do what you want. But yeah, all of us have old equipment sitting out and about, and the vegetation may be out of control over here, not over there. But it's so spaced out that it doesn't cause a problem for anybody, and it's much more relaxed. But if it does become an issue, we go and talk to each other because there's only like 5 of us that within walking distance. We go over, we talk to each other. Hey, you need some help with that,
and I'm like that. I
that.
like to, and I'm and I'm in an area where the lots are not big; they're kind of small, so we're kind of close. But I find the neighbors don't like to talk very much.
No,
I walk around saying hello, and they look at me like, "Oh,
who are you? Why are you bothering me?" And,
I mean, they're not that bad, but I end up going over and saying hello.
I think that's one of the. It's been happening for several years. People have become less neighborly, than they used to be. I grew up in a small town in Wisconsin, and we just never locked our door. There was no reason to. We all knew each other.
People like that. Yeah.
And I like living in a community where I can do that.
Yuma's one of the more friendly communities around. Absolutely. It is. It's one of the best. No question. I like it.
Yeah.
And that's why I live here.
Yeah, there's I don't parts of Yuma where people feel less safe.
But I don't want to be seen as the Karen of the neighborhood either. Right. Like, oh, there's that.
Well, like you said, you could go up and say, hey, I noticed your yard is getting a little crazy here. Would you like some help cleaning it up? That's not Karen.
Helen, my wife, has actually cut the neighbor's yard before to help out.
Yeah.
Those kind of things. We wouldn't mind helping a little bit. As far as, how to get rid of junk cars and stuff, I could help with that.
Yeah.
I have some outlets, stuff like that. But they want to keep them. But I read all the Yuma stuff, and it's just basic. It's not detailed nitpicky.
Right.
It's just you can't have an inoperative car sitting in the grass. Actually, you can't even have an inoperative car visible.
Right.
I'm sure there's some exceptions. They know what's broken. I'm going to get it in the shop in a couple of weeks or something. But I've had, some of these. I saw a neighbor the other day that had an older car, from a 50s series car that, they were obviously working on. It was well kept, and it was on the concrete and in a car part. But even that would be
technically a violation.
Technically, I would never say anything. Right. I mean, they're obviously taking care of it and taking pride in it. Looks good and all that. But technically, because it's not covered. I mean, if it was in a garage, it would be fine.
Well, and those kind of policies, I think, are not there for the nitpicking. It's there for if it gets too extreme.
But that's where I think a homeowners association would look at that and say, aha.
They can get nitpicky,
Yeah.
I saw one of those reels where some guy's washing his car in his driveway, and the officer's coming up to him. He says, hey, what's up? And he says, well, you got a jerk for a neighbor. Technically, you're not supposed to wash cars in your driveway, and they called you on it. Wherever this was.
Wherever you were. Okay.
Wherever this was.
Yeah.
And he says, so I had to respond to it and tell you to stop cleaning.
Yeah, it's my job.
But that's ridiculous.
It is.
Policy.
And see, that's part of my hesitation. And maybe that's why all these places, because people feel the same way. They don't want to get involved. Right. They don't want someone to be angry at them. So they put up with it. Did you know there was a city ordinance on the storage of RVs?
Yeah.
And it's pretty simple. You have to have it on like a concrete pad. You just can't put it in the dirt.
Right.
And you can't have them in the road.
I only knew that you couldn't have it in the road. I don't know about the other details.
You could put them in the road for like 24 hours or something like that while you're loading it. You're getting ready to go on the family vacation, and you park it there to load it. But you can't leave it there.
Right. Hook it up to electricity and water. And
I literally have people in my neighborhood that have these RVs. It's a trailer. It's got to be at least 35, 40 foot long.
Wow.
And in order to and these yards are not that big. In order to get it in there, it's partially in the neighbor's yard, partially in his yard, and partially over the sidewalk. It's so far wacky.
That's not nitpicking.
Yeah.
That should be called on.
Well, I think it's unsightly.
Yeah.
And then they have a collectible car or something on the road that's covered with tarp, and stuff like that. But all that stuff, and I look like, if I wanted to go through here, I could find a lot of like stuff that's just gone crazy in this neighborhood.
And that's right to call out.
Yeah,
That's not nitpicking. If he's interfering with people walking on the sidewalk,
of course.
he's on the neighbor's property or something like that. You can't see the house because of all the vehicles in front
To
of
put
it.
that RV in storage could be a couple $100 a month.
Well, that's the cost of having.
That's the cost of having an RV, unless you got a huge area. And there's a lot of neighborhoods that have RVs parking in their house, at their house.
Yeah. Or you could buy acreage.
Yeah, you go out and live in the acreage.
Yeah.
But to have a 40-foot RV and stick it in front of a house, it's not quite 40 foot long. It's bigger than your house.
Yeah.
No. And also, you can't live in an RV.
No.
You can temporarily. I don't know. It gives it like a week or two. Like if you have a
Uh-huh.
guest or something come in, you can do that. But but they've got to be put on not on the dirt,
Right.
and not in the road.
Yeah, and we got similar rules in the county, but
Yeah.
unless it's a problem for somebody,
And you're allowed one.
nobody cares. Yeah.
Well, that's just it. And let's say there's a guy that has RV storage on his property, and it's all good, but he has two of them. That's technically a violation.
Technically,
But he's clean as a whistle, and everything looks great.
Yeah.
You really got to complain?
if nobody cares, nobody
Somebody
cares.
would in a homeowner association.
Yeah.
That's where they get the bad name.
Yeah.
And
Exactly.
technically, he'd be outside that violation, and and I don't like that.
No.
You
Those kinds of rules are for when it gets
Yeah.
to a problem. If it's not a real problem, you don't have to worry about it. But if it gets to a problem, we have a mechanism in place to deal with it.
Yeah.
But if it's not a problem, it's not a problem. Excuse
So I got a dilemma,
I always lean to the side of neighborly.
You'd knock on the door.
I'd knock on the door.
You'd knock on the door.
And offer assistance. Actually, first, I probably wouldn't care.
So I might
But
I might knock on the door too and say, "My name is Chris Larson. I'd like to talk to you about your yard." But my opinion on some of these, they're just going to tell me get lost.
They could.
And I'm not for running around trying to do the whole neighborhood or anything, but
Right.
It does hurt the property value. It does hurt resale value.
Well, but and that's people always complain about property values. If I'm not selling it,
Right.
I want a low property value, so my taxes are lower. It's only when I want to sell it that I want the property value up.
Well, maybe
So-
we all should just screw up our yards then.
So when I'm a year away
Yeah,
from
maybe
selling
do
the
it.
house,
Yeah.
then I'll clean up the neighborhood.
There you are. That's how you are. There's a death by cop here that I wanted to talk about.
Hate
It's a
this.
California one, and now it happened a little while ago. Can't remember. I don't have the date here, but this is like April 9th. Here it is, April 9th. A 59-year-old David Morales. He was living in a California town, and he got an eviction notice.
Okay.
Well, he didn't leave. So the police went out there to tell him, guy, you're going to have
gotta
to gotta go. And he shot and killed one.
One of the officers?
Yeah.
Ugh.
Which is just horrific. It just
Right.
sends chills, right? And of course, that got the police's attention.
Right.
And SWAT teams had to call in all kinds of stuff. He was uncooperative, shooting from the house, shooting for everything, And he killed a Tulare, T-U-L-A-R-E, Tulare County Deputy Randy Hopert lost his life. He was taken to the hospital and died at the hospital. And of course, that brought a lot of attention. And there was a lot of shooting going on. They brought in these massive armored Bearcat vehicles, these armored vehicles. He had snuck out of the house, while the tactical teams were out front and negotiating his surrender. And he got into the backyard area. And of course, the police are not stupid. They're
Right.
watching that.
Yeah.
And he's in camouflage, a mask, and laying and working to shoot at those guys too. Well, they bring the Bearcat around. He's shooting the windows, the Bearcat trying to kill the driver. The driver ends up running him over. The guy doesn't die of gunshot wounds. He does. In fact, he's not hit by a gunshot. He's hit by an armored Bearcat, which I'm sure has enough weight to
as lethal
crush you.
Yeah.
But of course, there's going to be people that are going to complain about that thing. Mike Bordeaux, he's the county sheriff, said the suspect was lying prone on the ground in camouflage clothing, continued to pose a threat. The situation was resolved, and the suspect's now dead. He was not shot. One of the Bearcats ran over him and killed him. Don't shoot at cops. You shoot at cops, we're going to run you over. He got run over. He got what he deserved.
Yeah.
That's from the officer, the cop. I mean, the sheriff. And he talks about he had to go and talk to the family at the hospital and do. I said, this situation went from a civil disorder removal to where an officer was shot and killed. This is senseless.
Yeah.
I sat down at the hospital. I met with the wife and his mom, and I can tell you, there is no consoling that family at this point. Attacks on law enforcement of this nature must stop.
Right.
I don't know what's going to stop. I mean, we got so many elected officials and politicians that are trashing officers. Normally, they want them defunded, gone,
right.
Replace them with social workers.
Can you imagine a social worker getting into that situation?
Yeah, it's going to be so much better, right?
Yeah, and when you first started it and said suicide by cop, I've got police officers in the family.
Yeah.
And the idea that you're going to be so cowardly, I can't kill myself, so I'm going to get a cop to do it for me. And the trauma that that officer will have to live with the rest of his life.
Right.
Because you couldn't take it anymore, whatever. It just infuriates me. But then to find out he actually killed somebody, now the officer that killed him is probably a little bit more accepting of it, because you just killed one of my own.
Yeah.
There's an emotional response to that. But you're either killing somebody, an officer who's just trying to do his job, take care of the community, or you're giving them a traumatic experience that they're going to have to live with.
Well, he was shooting at cops for like hours while he was in that barricaded in the house. He was not gonna go.
Yeah, where does the idea? Oh, I'm just gonna attack officers.
Yeah,
it's just but like you said, they're the officers are getting trashed by politicians and the media,
right, and on a regular basis, and trashing.
I don't have any numbers to see if the attacks on officers has increased or not.
Oh yeah, but have. ICE officers.
You can absolutely expect that that's the case. People are looking for officers these days.
And
this guy probably would have done the same. No
President Biden used to constantly say that Trump is the worst threat to our democracy.
Yeah, that's
when he was president, huh? But I mean, I was just talking about anger towards everything, anger towards officers, anger towards politicians. Trump's been attempted assassination 3 times.
Right.
And the left is not going to stop the rhetoric. They're not. Right. Now, Trump's going to call you the worst politician ever or something. He's going to say you're terrible, but he's not going to say threat to democracy, Hitler.
And he's not going to suggest anyone take him out, you out either.
No, he's it's getting out of control. The hate, the anger, and all this. And this is what happens. And it's been happening more. It's been happening. Of course, now you want me to go knock on my neighbor's door and tell him clean their yard.
Nicely.
I'll even help, man. What can I do for you? I'll even help you. Oh, but I never told you about the one guy called in. He said he's 80 years old, and he got to where him or his wife cutting the grass, it's just nothing they can really handle anymore. So he's called some companies that do that, landscapers, and it's like $100 an hour, minimum of 2 hours.
Right.
And I'm like, holy moly! I had no idea it would be that high, and So I had another listener that said he pays like $35, for somebody to come by and cut his grass. Or it's like, and they cut it regular, and it's like $140 a month to keep it trimmed up.
And that can be costly for people too.
Yeah, but I sent that number to the guy. That's what I was doing when I was on the phone a second ago. I was just making sure that I sent that number, for reference to the guy.
To the neighbor?
Well, I sent it to the guy that has the landscaper, because he wants the landscaper to call the guy.
Oh, okay.
Talk to him, or he's going to talk to him or something, which is really nice.
And that's a way to go, is to find a landscaper that will, can knock on the door and hey, I do landscaping. I noticed you could use some, because then it's a business opportunity for, because I get that all the time, if people knock on the door, hey, you guys could use solar, or you guys
I get those.
I get those all the time. So that would be a legit way of getting somebody to offer some assistance to this person. And some places will do it for free. They do it for community.
I know there are,
or some of them, record it. That's a trend nowadays. They put it on
if it was a minor neighborhood, I'd run over and do it.
Yeah.
But I've never cut my grass.
Yeah.
Helen does.
Oh, really?
Well, she lived in that house before we were married.
Right.
This
is hers.
It's hers.
Yeah.
In fact, when her husband died, they lived out in the acreage, and she sold all that, and she moved into this smaller, more manageable house.
Right.
And she loves cutting grass. I mean, she loves plants, doing all that kind of stuff. And she just flat told me that's my job.
There you go.
I did get rid of her lawnmower. I fixed it a couple times. It was older gas operated, and it was having some carburetor problems. And I could have had a carburetor put on it, but I just got rid of it, and I bought her a electric.
The electric ones.
A lot lighter.
Yeah.
There's no gas. There's no oil.
Loud.
It's not loud. It's easy to start. She's not yanking her guts out.
She had a pull. She had a pull start.
Yeah,
Wow.
She did. She had a pull start, and it was older, and it was in rough shape. So a lot of times you just pull your guts out and get nothing.
Yeah, she needed a new one.
So I relieved her of that, and I surprised her, and that was before I was married. I was like, man, I can't have this girl doing that. And I said, well, let me go fix your lawnmower, and I took it away, took it to my shop, dropped it off, and I went and picked up a brand new electric, and I took it and delivered it. I said, okay, we got this fixed, and she says,
wow, you did more work than I expected.
Yeah, we got it done.
That's funny.
But she loves it. I mean, it's so easy. Wow. And you see something, you have to walk away, it turns off real quick. But then all you do is pull the handle, it turns right back on. Keeps going.
That's cool.
And it's got enough battery to where it could do, I think, a half acre, and our house is nowhere near that.
Yeah.
Nowhere near that. So one charge, easily do the whole house.
Plug it in again.
Plug it in. It's simple. It's easy. And the wheels are new, so they roll. They're old. When the wheels were old, man, it was a push. But
that's funny.
We got her taken care of on that. But so I'm not a bad husband. She won't let me do the art.
Oh, I understand. Yeah. There's
that's her thing.
There's tasks that I could do.
Yeah.
But she likes it the way she does it.
Yeah.
And not the way I do it.
And you're better off to
she's
see
doing that.
What can I get you? You need a glass of water? You need something?
Exactly. Yeah. I'll support you. I'll back you up. But
now on Fox News, do you know the guy Joey Jones? He's a retired Marine Corps guy. He's on Fox News, and he has no legs.
Okay.
He's on the Gutfield show occasionally. I don't know if you watch it.
I don't get Fox.
Great guy. He's always upbeat. He's a great commentator, good common sense guy, good sense of humor. I like him a lot. He was in the Marine Corps.
Hoorah.
And he was deployed twice. Deployed in Afghanistan. He's an explosive ordnance disposal technician. 2010, he had an IED-related incident resulting in the loss of both his legs, severe damage to his right forearm and both his wrists. And he never slowed down. I mean, he's on Fox News, and he'll joke about it, about not having legs or something. But
and people in a situation like that, they usually have the best jokes about it.
He does. He does, and he's very patriotic, very pro-country, and all that. And man, to live through that, and all that, it's uplifting though to see him do what he does. Well, he just re-enlisted in the United States Marine Corps. He's now a Marine again.
Really?
Yeah, I didn't know you could take somebody with no
I
legs.
didn't know that either. I've heard of them like pilots. Well, they could have artificial limbs that could still reach the pedals and stuff.
Yeah, but he's I don't know I don't know what his job is. He says the last job I had in uniform, my job was to get better. It was to heal. That's of course after the accident. It's a very selfish thing. My job was to heal. The Marine Corps paid me to get better. Then I retired. He retired. And there's nothing wrong with that. But it was unfinished business. Now, he was a staff sergeant, served 8 years in the Marine Corps. And he did that. He said, if there's an opportunity for me to serve, and there's no reason why a no-legged 40-year-old staff sergeant should be able to put the uniform on, other than these men believed it. And the goal here is to open that door for anyone else that has something left to give. He was the Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth, led the swearing-in ceremony at Pentagon's Hall of Heroes.
Huh.
Great. And Pete Hegseth says, I don't think there's a better spokesman for the Marine Corps, understanding what it's all about, what it means to serve, the brotherhood that exists, than how Joey talks about it on television, so that the American people understand it and connect it to a visceral way. If you spend any time with them, which I know a lot of you have, it's in his bones. It's in his heart and soul wearing that uniform. When I first got word that he was interested in getting back in uniform, it actually didn't surprise me. Jones's reenlistment, absolute no-brainer. He's got to remain a co-host on the big weekend show on the air and continue to provide the military analysts across all Fox News media platforms. So I wonder if that's his job now, is public relations.
I don't know.
But it would make sense.
The problem I have is all Marines are warriors first, then their job.
Well, they're all riflemen, yeah.
Well, we use the word warriors, but
yeah. Well, I've had it explained to me as riflemen. We're all riflemen, but
warriors first, and then our job.
Yeah.
I don't see this guy doing a lot of fighting capability.
Don't know. But maybe he's in recruiting. Maybe he's in something else. Or
maybe recruiters are only there for a year or two at a time. But even then, a cook. I was in an office. We're all trained to be the warriors first, and then the job is just waiting for a war. So I in any other branch, cool, go for it.
Yeah.
Because they're their job first. Only certain ones of them are actual fighters. If you're in an office, you're in an office. If you're in the chow hall, you're in the chow hall. But in the Marine Corps, we're supposed to be warriors first.
I bet he could still pick up a rifle. The guy's pretty capable. But
I don't know. It's not my call to make. But
no, I'm kind of happy for him.
I'm questionable. Oh yeah, no.
He's also
being a Marine is awesome. So.
He's also the author of a couple bestsellers, "Unbroken Bonds of Battle."
Mm-hmm.
And Behind the Badge, Answering the Call to Serve on America's Home Front. Which gives details of first responders and the drive behind the patriotic acts of heroism. He spends much of his time working on issues facing active duty and retired service members, and created a fellowship on Capitol Hill with the House Committee on Veterans Affairs.
He might be doing more for the Marine Corps outside the Marine Corps than in.
Yeah, he gives back.
That's a good guy. Yeah.
So I'll be curious what he does, but I would assume it's going to be something in public relations, communications. I don't know.
Or he could be teaching.
Could be teaching. We need all that.
The joke with EOD is, if you see me running, keep up.
I guess I have heard of that. I have heard of that. There was a shooting here where 3 people. Let me see.
Here?
No, it wasn't a shooting. I'm sorry. This happened in New Mexico.
Okay.
There's 3 dead though, and 20 first responders are quarantined from an exposure of an unidentified substance.
Really?
Yeah. New Mexican police, state police, they responded to around 11 a.m. to a residence in Mountain Air. to assist Torrance County Sheriff's Office with what was initially believed to be a suspect overdosing involved in unknown substances. Authorities said they went in and found 4 people non-responsive inside the residence. 3 of them were pronounced dead. 18 of the first responders were exposed to a substance and were later experienced symptoms including nausea and dizziness.
Huh.
They don't even know what it is yet. The 4th occupant of the residence and the exposed first responders were transported to the University of New Mexico Hospital. They're being quarantined, evaluated, and monitored. 2 first responders remain in serious condition. The mayor, Pete Neto, said 3 of the 4 EMTs from Mountain Air EMS have been released from the hospital. But EMS Chief Josh Lewis remains hospitalized overnight. He was the first one to enter the residence.
Wow.
Albuquerque Fire Rescue hazmat teams are now working to identify the substance involved. They don't know.
That's crazy.
Scary.
Yeah.
They just walked in the house.
Huh.
And something. And at this time, we don't know what the exact cause. That's the mayor says. However, based on the information currently available, all indications are pointing towards narcotics as a possible factor.
Yeah, I was wondering if they were making meth or something.
The investigation's still ongoing. The officials are working carefully to confirm the facts before releasing final conclusions.
Yeah. If they were cooking meth, that would be recognizable. The cops would know that.
They don't believe it is airborne though. So how did all these guys get infected?
Yeah. That's
I
weird.
believe the substance may spread through contact, but not now these EMS guys are touching them,
Right.
EMTs are.
But they're touching them with gloves.
They
usually.
do.
Yeah.
They do. I see it in all the movies.
That's
They all
weird.
put the gloves on first. I'm not trained as an EMT, but I've watched the movies.
Yeah. That's where we learn everything.
They generally always put on the gloves. So do police at a lot of these things, particularly if they suspect drugs, they put them on. They know, they don't want to touch stuff that's going to absorption.
Right. Huh. That is a strange story.
Yeah.
I wonder if we're going to hear the conclusion, because a lot of times these days,
I hope I do.
We get the start of the story and then, nobody thinks about it later.
I need to look it up, but they suggest it was probably drugs, so they probably see something that would lead them in that direction. But who knows?
All right.
I like it when they
bizarre.
don't jump to conclusions. Like, we're pretty sure it's drugs. No, they don't do that. They said they believe it, but they don't know.
Huh.
And so, thank your first responders out there.
Absolutely.
They endanger themselves a lot. Police officers, they never know, especially in today's turbulent times and, so much hate and going on out there. Anti-police, defund police, defund ICE. Those kind of things have just been crazy.
Well, not just the law enforcement first responders, the EMT guys, the firefighters, they're running into situations.
Oh yeah,
they don't always know what's happening,
and other people are running out.
They're there to help other people. They're there for the community.
Right,
they're fantastic. I love them.
Yeah, Trump task force. They're tackling $250 billion in government fraud right now. Of course, they think it's $250 billion. They haven't found it.
Yeah, if we knew the exact number, we could stop it all.
It may be trillions. Who knows? Yeah. And of course, we know Minnesota and we know California have already been hotspots. But Vance,
right,
our vice president, he's the chair. Or no, it says he's a vice chair. He's the czar though, the fraud czar.
Right.
Kind of like Kamala was the border czar, but
no, he's doing something.
I don't know what but he's working it.
Yeah.
And there's also a Federal Trade Commission chairman, Andrew Ferguson, and they're leading the whole of government effort in the war against fraud. It's got to be so massive. Where do you? I guess they're starting with wherever Nick Shirley pointed them.
It's a good place to start.
Well,
because somebody already found it. Let's just.
If you got that kind of national attention already,
right.
Yeah, it's good. IRS agents had arrested Al Capone on purpose because it was such a big deal.
Right.
That if Al Capone gets arrested, then everyone else could be, I better stop what I'm doing.
Well, he got arrested for tax evasion.
That's what IRS, yeah.
So
that's IRS.
That started the money laundering business right there.
Now, unlike the Biden administration, Vance has warned that no amount of fraud is too small to prosecute. And here's what he says. He says, we did not prosecute fraud in this country if it's under $1.5 million.
What? You mean I could have been collecting
All this
1.5 million?
1.4, just to be safe.
1.49999.
all this time.
Wow.
And that's per year.
Wow.
So if it was under $1.5 million a year, not interested.
Wow.
And Vance says, how absurd and insulting is that? The average lifetime tax contribution of one of U.S. citizens is approximately $500,000. Before the task force, the government would simply turn a blind eye to fraud so large it would wipe out the lifetime tax contributions of 3 Americans.
Unbelievable.
This is the fundamental difference between the Trump administration and those that preceded it. If you allow chaos, disorder, criminality, however small, the entire system will collapse. But if you refuse to cede any ground to the criminals, you can take back the whole field of battle. And as Trump says, we are in a war on fraud. Finally, it's a war we are winning.
It needs to happen.
Oh, we're going to hear a lot more about it. And we got some governors out there that are fighting this this task force like crazy.
Uh-huh.
You know, like children are starving because they cut off some of the illegals and the fraudsters. Children are starving. We can help that. I mean, there can. You know, once the parents are in jail, they find
we'll feed them.
Yeah, we'll feed them. We'll find foster homes or send them back to their country or something if that's what the case is.
Well, and there's food banks and stuff all over the place. There's other options, but if you are here legally, you're not a problem. If you're here illegally, turn yourself in. We'll take care of you while we get you where you're supposed to be.
You realize that SNAP funds, SNAP funds, not accessible to illegal aliens. You have to be a citizen. But yet the states give it to them.
Right.
And then the Fed government pays for it.
Right.
And that's fraud.
Right.
And that's what the Democrats are complaining at times, like, well, they got to eat. Right.
Well, they can.
They can.
As soon as they turn themselves in.
We'll get you taken care of. Or they say, but they're just working for a living. Then they can afford food.
No, because they can't pay under the table less wages.
Maybe.
Well, then that's
illegal.
Another problem that we need to deal with, isn't it?
Yeah, taking away jobs.
Yeah.
Prior to Trump's return, the government agencies waited until fraudsters had already been given out payout before even checking the legitimacy of the receipts. Well, I had to let that sink in. So they would get receipts to say, pay this. They would cut the checks and then inspect to see if it was legitimate. That's the way it works. They say anyone who is, knows that it's much easier to police fraud before the money leaves the account.
Right.
The pay and chase policy, which was where it was, which is idiotic to an extreme. It's believed that every year the United States loses about $250 billion to fraud. And it recovers about $10 billion, which is a recovery rate of 4%.
Right.
That's
terrible.
Disgusting.
Yeah.
I mean, that's $250 billion. That's in fraud, is what it's estimated.
Right.
It says, today the administration is implementing advanced forensic accounting and fraud detection tools to identify problematic applications before fraudsters are handed a check. Advanced AI tools are being utilized to detect suspicious patterns, inconsistencies, and concealment schemes, and they're targeting more than just Medicare and Medicaid fraud. The task force is also going after high-risk programs like SNAP benefits, student loans, and small business loans, to name a few. And they're doing it before the checks are cut.
Right. That's the way to go.
That's doing everyone a favor because then you don't have to be a felon.
Well, and the like you were saying, we used to do it this way, but now we're using this new technology. That's another problem with the bureaucracy is, well, we've done it this way before. This is the way we've always done it. This is the equipment we had before. We're still using it. It doesn't matter if it's not supported anymore. We'll find a way to make it work. And it takes somebody coming in saying, no, we're changing everything. We're starting from scratch. We're going to do it the right way. We're going to bring in new equipment. We're going to bring in new technology. We're going to bring in new policies, and we're going to get it done. But that's not the nature of bureaucracy. Bureaucracy is do it the same way you did it yesterday, and we're going to be fine.
You know, the lies about ESA.
Yes.
Where and ESA is our school system, you know, alternative school, where you can be homeschooled or whatever.
Right.
And the government, state government, will pay you up to $7,500. Up to. They have to have receipts.
Yeah.
It has to be spent on books and curriculum. There's a list of what it can buy.
Right. Yeah.
And there's always been this, well, households are just buying hot tubs and they're buying, it's not true.
It's not true.
Particularly since the Republican took it over. There were some problems when the Democrat was running it. I mean, the superintendent of public instruction, that there was a few things that had to go back and get the money back.
Well, back then it was really small.
It was really small.
Because it was just.
But they're still using those examples
Yeah.
of the problem with the ESA, which doesn't even exist.
And it was much easier to maintain back then,
but-
and it wasn't.
But
Yeah.
but now they check it before the checks are cut.
Well, to a point, because the state is not supporting Department of Education as much as they should. They don't have enough people working the system. They need more employees. They do cut the checks for under a certain amount, like a couple $100, and then they look back at those after the fact. But the big expenditures people are talking about aren't happening. When they do find errors, it's usually just a paperwork error. As soon as they fix the paperwork error, now it's legit and it's fine. And then occasionally they do find somebody spent money on something they shouldn't have, and it's usually just a misunderstanding of the rules, and they get the money back.
I've been
It's not a big issue.
No, it's not. They try to make it one because they're trying to find an issue to kill it. They want government schools to be 100%.
Yep.
Government schools. So they try to load up ESA with regulation to kill it.
Yep.
Which hasn't done that yet. They try to they lie about it, saying it's bankrupting the state,
Which is not true.
Not true.
Yeah.
We spend half as much on a ESA student than we do on a public school student. Half as much. And when you spend half as much, it doesn't bankrupt you.
No. It usually is somewhat profitable. So
yeah, it becomes better.
Our first caller, when he called in and was talking about the kid crossing the street in the schools and things like that, and my thought went to I forget what he said, but it triggered my thought of that's why we need ESA, is to open up the public education, the education options for people, so that they can get them out of this situation and into a situation that does work for them. And public school works great for certain students, but no system can handle every single person's needs. We need the options out there for all these other kids that are not being served well by the public system.
And the alternative school system is just booming because
it's huge. Yeah.
So many parents want the best for their kids, and sometimes the best is a religious education. It may be a private school.
Every private school has a waiting list.
Yeah,
every single one.
They do.
Yeah. The charter schools are overwhelmed.
It's kind of hard to get in some of these schools.
Oh, it is. Yeah. They're very selective because they can be.
It's not hard to get at Yuma High. It's not hard. You just say, I want to go. You're in. We got room.
Well, and you don't even say you want to go. They'll pick you up and bring you if you
there
don't.
You go. They'll send a bus.
Yeah. There's you're
not gonna get that at a private school.
No.
Generally.
And that's one of the people say, oh, it's only the wealthier people that are going to the private schools. Well, there's a few barriers for people that don't have the money. One, you have to transport your own kid.
Yeah.
With the private schools don't have enough funds to have a busing system.
Some of them do.
Some of them do. Yeah. But even that's going to be
some of the charter
limited.
Schools have buses.
Yeah.
Too.
So transportation is an issue. Time is an issue for homeschoolers. I don't have that. I have to work. I can't, so, they say, oh, all these homeschoolers are wealthy people anyway, and so they're trying to cap it at 150,000 for the ESA users. That is not a lot of money. I don't know where they picked 150,000 out of thin air. That is not a lot of money. You're not wealthy at 150,000.
Yeah.
But they've decided, 150,000 is, if you're over that.
But that's not the current rule. That's what they're trying to change.
No, that's what they're trying to make. Yeah. That's what they're
trying to make it 150,000.
And that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
And my kids never got federal money for school. because apparently my wife and I
So-
were wealthy.
Let's say, yeah,
I didn't
we
know
over
that,
150.
you know.
But let's say a family's making $300,000 a year. They're paying a lot in taxes,
Yeah.
and a lot in school taxes.
Yeah.
And you're telling me that if they choose to go to a private school, they can't get any taxes to pay for their kids,
Right.
even though they're paying a huge amount.
I don't want any cap on it. If we're paying taxes to educate the public should be educated, period.
Yes.
So I don't want any cap, but to pick 150,000 is insulting.
Yeah.
I think so.
Well, it's all that I hate the rich thing, and it's trying to kill the ESA.
It's trying to
program.
kill ESA. It's exactly
That's all
what
it
they're
is.
trying to do. Yeah, they couldn't do it themselves, so they're going to mislead the public and try to get the public to do it for them. It's really disgusting. I don't know how we got on the topic, but
Well, I was talking about fraud,
I'll stay. on it,
but I'm saying the fraud in the ESA.
there's not.
Well,
It's
and-
minimal.
And Tom Horn has been very hard on it because he knows they're trying to kill the program. And if something did squeak through, it's going to be front page because this administration, Katie Hobbs and company, they want to kill ESA, and it's going to be what.
Well, they got this guy on Channel 12 out of Phoenix, ABC, who's investigating reporting. He's making up, his reporting. He uses documents that are for one purpose and says they're for another. They just had an audit of the ESA system, and the auditors looked at already suspicious accounts for one reason or another. They tripped a wire somewhere and said, we're going to look at that. So among those, there's going to be a higher percentage that were an error or a misunderstanding or something. They didn't find any fraud. Fraud is criminal.
Right.
You have to prove intent. There's a different, the only difference between error and fraud is intent.
And
they haven't found any
And
of
they've
that.
been able to get the money back on those things.
Yeah, but this guy is using the percentage from the very narrow search that they did to apply it to everybody. And she said, "Oh, there's 34% fraud." There is not. There's no fraud because nobody has been tried for fraud. It's all errors that they've encountered and fixed. And two, he's using the numbers incorrectly. It's not a generalized percentage. It's a percentage of just the ones that they searched, and they specifically picked the ones that they were searching.
Yeah. Well, he's
look for
got an ideology.
Yeah.
They're trying to support a conclusion they've already made.
Yeah, that's absolutely what they're doing.
And if you really want to go after public schools,
Oh my goodness.
there's been tons of real fraud.
And you don't even have
even-
to look hard.
Even in Gadsden, not too long ago, you had a bunch of stuff going on.
I'm sure it's
Stuff.
everywhere.
Yeah, it's huge, and I know our treasurer's talked about it.
Tolleson has been in the news a lot lately.
Yeah.
What's the one? Scottsdale has been getting tripped up.
And
It's
these are all
everywhere.
big monies.
Huge numbers.
Getting back to the fraud division, the Department of Justice new fraud division, led by Assistant Attorney General Colin McDonald, has already put fraudsters on notice. They've executed 22 search warrants against fraudulent daycare centers in Minnesota, including the Quality Leering Center. They've launched a major crackdown in LA against Medicare, and which is all the Nick Shirley stuff.
Right.
That's what they've done, which is good. That's smart.
Just follow them along.
Yeah. And even secured multi-year prison sentences against fraudsters and $522 million healthcare scheme. And some of these healthcare schemes, like on Medicare and Medicaid, some of these doctors' offices and stuff are putting in, requests for funds to cover, medical assistance equipment
Uh-huh.
on real medical patients, real people, real names. And the people that they're using had no idea their names were being used.
Right.
And the money was going directly to these caregivers.
Yep.
And the people had no idea that their Medicare was paying for it
Yep.
because they don't need that.
Right.
I don't have a fake arm.
Yeah.
No.
Well, and there's some conditions that really don't have any test or anything like that, and they'll just, they'll list it, and like you said, the caregiver, the care provider, gets paid more based on how many things he's dealing with. So as long as they can make that nice big list.
But they're finding that none of this equipment was even purchased.
Yep.
CPAC machines and all kinds of stuff that they listed and was never purchased.
Yep.
Just the government paid for it. Man, then that's fraud.
It is absolutely.
Yeah, and the patients had no
And
idea.
patients don't even
And
know.
that's like some of this voter fraud, stuff that they found. Well, not voter fraud. It's money that goes into some of these PACs, political PACs.
Uh-huh.
you know, you've had these investigative journalists go knock on a door and it says, I see you've given to this PAC 30 times and something like $15,000 over the last 5 years. He says, I don't even know what that PAC is. I've never given a dime.
I ain't giving 15,000 to nobody. What are you talking?
You know, well, and that just is suggested that that's to cover money, the offshore money coming from places it shouldn't come from,
right?
And say, well, it's small donations,
right?
And we don't have to use a name, but some of these names get out there, or they do use some names, and these people say, I've never given any money,
right?
Yeah. So it's a lot of fraud goes on. It's like. I know we didn't invent it, but it seems like we've gotten good at it in the last few years. Mehmet Oz, he's the Center for Medicare and Medicaid Services Administrator. He told Vance at a press conference, he kicked off 800 questionable healthcare providers from Medicare system, and not a single one of them called to contest his decision to be kicked off. Not a single one.
Oh man, that is telling.
It's like these healthcare, and these are providers that get it directly. They found 800 of them that they thought were questionable. Just cut them off. Nobody picked up a phone and said, why am I not getting my money?
Wow. That's a quick, easy way to deal with it. Just cut off everybody, and the ones that don't respond. Okay.
You got to wonder if it's that easy to find 800 real quick. How deep is this?
Oh, I'm sure it's deep.
It says, despite the challenges of such operations, billions of tax dollars have already been taken out of the pocket of thieves and returned to American Treasury, where they can be used to benefit our own citizens instead of scammers, foreigners, and people who hate this country. And that's true.
Yeah.
I mean, there's some of these Somalians that have been on television that have been caught in frauds that just hate America. And they're ripping it off and sending money back to Somalia. And they live here and drive a Bentley.
Their kids are probably, no, it's not too bad here.
I don't know how.
You can't grow up in this community.
Well, in that community, they stay to themselves.
Yeah, that's true.
I understand it's real clannish, and they stay right within the community. So you don't get corrupted by us mean, nasty Americans.
Yeah.
They just take our money. Vice President leadership is sparking a movement in Washington and beyond. The House of Representatives Oversight launched its own fraud division. And I think that's right. There's a lot of, me too, guys. You know, I want some too. I want to be part of the solution. They launched their own fraud division by rising star Texas Republican Representative Brandon Gill. So he said, I'm going to get involved. The Daily Wire exposed massive fraud scandal in Ohio during an independent investigation. Of course, and the Nick Shirley's been investigating.
Right.
And now the government's grabbing a hold of him and saying, let us dig deeper.
Yeah, good.
And in the past, they never cared. They had their own jobs to do.
Somebody else's department.
Yeah. ICE identified 10,000 fraudulent foreign students enrolled in their optional practical training program.
Within ICE?
ICE.
Wow.
The White House task force has set an example for combating fraud, and other leaders are taking note. It shows a comparison between Vice President Kamala Harris, who was the border czar, and Vance, who is now the fraud czar. Is there a difference? I think so.
I didn't even know she. I think I remember her having the title.
Yeah,
but there was never any news about anything that she.
There was right away because she was going to.
She went
well,
to
not nothing she accomplished. She didn't accomplish, but for her, she said, "Well, since I've got to be in charge of the border, I got to find out the source of the problem."
Right.
So I thought she'd go to the border. No, she went to Venezuela.
Went to other countries, yeah.
You know, and
we're
lectured.
Stop people. It's going to be easier to stop people from coming over the border by fixing all these other countries in the world.
Well, and that's what she told them: is you guys need to clean up your act. And they laughed her out of town.
Yeah. That's the last thing I heard about her being a.
That's the last thing she did.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
It's the last thing she did, and now she wants to run for president to bring that same sense of competency to the entire office.
Well, and she may want that, but I don't see the Democrats getting behind her.
No, but
They
she's
didn't
still
like her the first time
she's
she
still
ran.
top. If she's not the top in the polls, she
And she's only at the top because they
There's
don't
nobody
have any
else.
good candidates.
Right.
Newsom is up there. People are talking about Newsom. People are talking about her. But
how can she have so many people that want her when they've heard her talk, they've seen her? She's terrible.
Yeah.
She doesn't know the issues.
well, they don't so much want her. They just don't have any other options.
Why would they be?
That's the only thing I can
I know
see.
they're looking at, you got Buttigieg is not
Yeah.
exciting and terrible. Pritzker wants it, and he's good Lord, he's in trouble. Newsom, and Newsom is still on the news regularly talking about how if we don't stop the Republicans from taking over the House, then we're going to lose our democracy.
We already have the House.
Well, keeping it in this next election, we're going to lose it. Well, he's the same one that said if we can't beat Trump in this election, we'll never have another election. Amazing. Those tapes are still out there, but he doesn't talk about that. Like he's such a dictator. He's going to take over, cancel elections. Man, it didn't happen.
It didn't happen. And the things from the right, the doomsayers, I mean, not from the right, from the left, the doomsayers, keep preaching all these, horrible, terrible things that are going to happen. And they've never happened. Climate change did not destroy us like they said it would. That's been around long enough that if there was going to be something happening, it would happen.
Al Gore with the something truth, the
uncomfortable truth,
something like that. Yeah. He had lots of predictions. Zero.
Yeah, nothing came about.
Yeah, and everything was going to take in 10 years. We're not going to do this in 10 years. The ice in the Arctic will be gone in 10 years. Nothing.
Right.
10 years, we may not have any polar bears. And the population has gone crazy big.
Yeah. The concerns over the economy, the concerns over, like Trump being a dictator, none of it has come to pass.
No. But they don't care. They keep doubling down on more.
Well, I think the Democrats, are, for the most part, they're being Democrat because they're Democrat.
Yeah.
Or because they don't like Trump. It's not anything about the Democratic Party that they like or support. It's just they either don't like Trump, and several of them that I know are in that camp, or, well, I've always been Democrat, so I'm a Democrat. But once you start thinking about things, and that's why we're seeing so many Democrats switching to Republican.
But it's one at a time. It's not floods.
Right.
But have you ever asked them, like, well, then you support boys in the girls' room?
Right.
Do you support not having an ID at voting, so it's a free for all?
Right. When you start asking them about
well, it's not that, but I'm still a Democrat. But just a few things, like all the major issues. Do you support immigration unfettered with open borders? You don't find very much popularity in that. I mean,
no. As soon as you start talking about the actual issues,
the stuff they stand
everything
for
falls apart. And I don't think they even know what the Democrat Party stands for the most part.
Right.
Yeah.
Equity, DEI hires.
Inconvenient truth is bugging me.
Inconvenient.
I had to look it up.
Okay. Inconvenient truth.
And even with the, there are some Democrats out there that are all about the woke, and we got to support the trans this and the gay that and the DEI and that kind of stuff. When you start talking about the mechanics of it all, then it starts falling apart again, because they have a topic that they're like, yes, that's great, let's do that, but they haven't thought about it. Oh, excuse me.
You see, Edward just sent me a note at.
Haven't heard from him. Have we not made mistakes yet?
I don't know.
Maybe he was busy.
I need to look at my notes. The DNC releases its 2024 election autopsy.
Okay.
Which I guess they'd had it for a while and they didn't want to release it. And the party chair for the DNC is slamming it. It's their own internal autopsy.
Right.
Like, what did we do wrong? See, and they don't live in reality.
Right.
So it says the Democratic National Committee on Thursday released a long-awaited autopsy of its 2024 election wipeout. but party chair Ken Martin eviscerated the report as inadequate product.
Huh.
It released in full along with annotations, highlighting perceived shortcomings in the work product. Has some sections left entirely blank, including the executive summary and conclusions. The DNC had to apologize that his decision to hold the report ended up creating an even bigger distraction. Slammed the contents. So he got the report, didn't like it, held on to it, got more attention to it. Now he released it and then apologized for getting all the attention.
Is there anything in it of value?
Well, the DNC chair says, this document reflects the views of the author, not the DNC. Well, the DNC hired him to do this.
Right. So they're demonstrating their incompetence again.
He said the report wasn't ready for prime time, not even close.
Huh.
And its release would release a distraction. The distraction would be reality, is what he means. Reality. And reality is not good for him.
Right. Well, it never is.
It's not even saying. He says, I'm not proud of the product. It doesn't meet my standards. I don't endorse what's in the report. I could not in good faith put the DNC stamp of approval on it. Transparency is paramount. So today I'm releasing a report. I'm received it in its entire unedited, unabridged.
So they can't run themselves, but they want to run the country.
Yeah. It made numerous sharp critiques of the Democrats in the lead up to the 24 election, but also includes annotations about the DNC, says point out a lack of sourcing material or inaccuracies. Sad truth is Democrats have lost ground at every level, from inconsistent messaging, improper planning, even the policies the party advances continue to earn voter support at the ballot box. The autopsy reads in one section, in the face of misinformation, disinformation, our candidates have proven incapable of projecting strength, unity, and leadership, and voters have drifted away.
That all sounds pretty accurate.
That comes from a DNC report about DNC.
Haven't we been saying that for the last several years?
Well, now it's right out there in the open, and they're saying, I don't like that report. Hide it again. It knocks the use of the term Bidenomics, tied former President Biden to it, but they used it.
That's crazy.
So I guess they said nothing nice about the Democrats' political ability.
That's because they said factual things.
Yeah, because they too much truth. Back off.
Wow.
Lack of leadership.
That's amazing.
Lack of policies. And they're sticking with the same policies. They still want hate cops, hate ICE, love illegals,
Well, they can't.
open border.
If they change anything, they're going to be
I
Republican.
want boys in the girls' room.
They have to hate Republicans.
They've got the same trash going on, you know.
They have nothing of value.
Nothing that I've seen.
Yeah.
No.
Well, nothing that they've seen.
According to their own internal reports, he's got to rewrite it. And they're going to say, we loved everything that was done. Do more of the same.
Well, that's fine by me because
That's
then they'll
fine for me
lose
too.
again. Yeah.
I'm going to take rest day off, man.
Okay. You
Chris,
go ahead and
thanks
do
for
that.
coming in.
Yep.
I'll be back tomorrow. Thanks for listening. Mortgage One Studios with Russ Clark.